Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Smackdown New Year's Revolution has just concluded. My name is Ango. Today I am joined by my good friend Billy TKO on YouTube. Billy.
Yeah.
Billy.
What do you got for me, Ango?
Okay. I don't know. Have I killed the joke at this point that this was the best Smackdown of the year?
Can I tell you something?
What, buddy?
You didn't. You want to know why?
Why?
Because Corey Graves said it was the best SmackDown of the year.
He stole our shtick, dude.
Dude, he did. I was upset. I was like, that's
Crazy.
ours.
Yeah, that's ours, man. That was our thing. But hey,
Right.
Smackdown Revolution just went off the air, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about it. Hopefully, you guys are all having a wonderful night. It's a Friday night. It's January 5th, 2024.
Yeah.
Lots to discuss. I'm going to try to power through. I don't know why, for some reason, tonight, out of all nights, I'm just extremely tired. I've noticed all day I've been a lot more tired than usual. And I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully tonight could be a fun live stream. I'm gonna need your guys' help in the chat. In the chat, guys, help me out.
Let's
go
this
wild.
man out. Let's have a good time in the chat.
Definitely a lot to talk about. Big announcement at the end of the show. Roman Reigns, fatal 4-way at Royal Rumble. Fantastic booking decision. It's something I actually predicted about a month ago. A lot of good things came from tonight's SmackDown. There's a couple things I might be a little negative about, but for the most part, I really enjoyed it. Billy, before we start talking into the detailed stuff in depth, just overall thought on SmackDown.
Oh, dude, I was a big fan of the show. I thought it did everything that it needed to do for what it was. You know what I mean? New Year show, kind of coming into the new year, obviously bringing in some new names, old names to some, but new to casual. Good show. Good show. What were your thoughts?
I enjoyed it, man. I feel like WWE programming this year, well, even including 2023.
Right.
Honestly, I'm not joking now. Like when I, but I feel like I've been enjoying WWE a lot as of late, and it just seems like WWE's been laser focused. And I'm actually going to give specific examples and where I see that fitting. So honestly, I really did enjoy SmackDown tonight, even though I was extremely tired today. I was definitely up and watching it and focused, and I loved it, man. I loved the episode, and definitely going to talk about it. Guys, I want to know what you think about SmackDown tonight. And of course, as always, if you guys want your comments and questions read on the stream, you're able to drop a super chat, or you could donate on ango.live. Obviously, your donations, super chats, and everything is appreciated, but maybe you don't want to spend any money, and that's completely fine. You're not obviously obligated to, but what you could do, and it would be so helpful, go ahead and hit the like button. Simple as that. Just let me know that you're here listening. Obviously, we'll be taking a look at the chat and stuff like that. Definitely going to be a fun time, I think. Billy, I want to kick things off, though.
Yeah.
With something very interesting. Because today we saw the return of AOP. We saw a great match with Mia Yim, and we'll talk about those things in detail.
Right.
But do you think Roman Reigns defending the belt in a fatal 4-way match at the Royal Rumble is a good decision, or do you think it is a bad decision?
I think it's the best decision right now. I felt like all three of those guys, Randy Orton, AJ Styles, and LA Knight, were all a little too hot to leave out of a match against Roman. One thing Roman hasn't done is fight in a fatal 4-way match. That's kind of one thing that throughout this whole, it kind of just adds depth to his run. You know what I mean? But I do believe that right now it is best for what he is doing, and I think it's a good idea. What are your thoughts on it? Do you think it's smart for now, or do you think it was a bad idea for him?
So here's the thing. As a fan,
yeah,
I love it, to be honest. Mainly because you throw all four of these guys in this match, 3 of them don't have to be in the Royal Rumble. It kind of makes the Royal Rumble a little bit less predictable, right? Because LA Knight, Randy Orton, and AJ Styles at this stage of the game cannot win the Royal Rumble. Unless technically this match opens up and then one of them enter later on, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that they took 3 guys who could all be heavy contenders to win the Rumble and immediately They're not giving that opportunity. So I like that.
Yeah.
From an analytical side, right? From a stance of like me truly micro analyzing this specific decision, which by the way, the match is going to be awesome. And like you mentioned, Roman hasn't had a fatal 4-way. But from a micro analytical side, the problem with what they've done here is they've teased The Rock.
Yeah, and that's overshadowed it.
And well, not overshadowed. I don't want to say overshadowed. That's not fair. But I would say they've teased The Rock and Paul Heyman, obviously, tonight, talking about Cody finishing the story. They want you to know that Roman, deep down inside, is holding the belt past Royal Rumble. So however they get through it or however they book this match, they're basically letting you know that nobody's going to win the belt. However, that's just me micro-analyzing. And if I'm being completely fair, if there was ever a time to do a swerve, that would be the time. Literally have Roman drop the belt in a fatal 4-way. I think that's 99.9% impossible. But I'm just saying, if you really want to swerve people, that's what you would do. You would have him drop the belt because Roman doesn't need to be pinned.
Right.
However, on the flip side to that, that would be a very, very stupid decision because whoever beats Roman Reigns should pin Roman Reigns. And it should happen in a singles match, not a multiple match.
Yeah, I mean, sadly, this is just not the place where Roman's going to lose. I mean, I think it's fair. My personal humble take, it's fair to say that we're getting Rock at Elimination Chamber. We'll see Cody in the main event of WrestleMania Night 2. I still believe those are the plans. I just think that that's what's going to happen. I'm hoping that plans do not change because for me, as a fan, right, that makes sense, and that's what I want to see. And I know you said it's not overshadowing, but I'm kind of gonna, I'm just gonna be honest. It feels with The Rock actually returning, it did overshadow AJ Styles, Randy Orton, because it makes it that much more predictable now that The Rock's back. Because let's be real here, Roman and The Rock will not have a match without that belt being on the line. You know what I mean? So it does kind of overshadow and tells me straight away, yeah, we're moving on past this. Just know that the Royal Rumble, when it happens, there's going to be a match. It'll be a good match, like you said.
Can you rewind for a second? I just want to make sure I heard you clearly. Did you say that Rock and Roman needs the title belt?
I said that I don't believe that they will have the match without the title.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me just kind of address that really quickly.
Yeah.
Again, from an analytical standpoint, like me analyzing it straight through.
Yeah.
All The Rock did was just put out a little teaser. So that match doesn't even have to happen technically before WrestleMania. I mean, it could happen a year from now. It could happen SummerSlam. I mean, there's a lot of ways to go about it. And The Rock specifically said head of the table. So he didn't say anything about the championship belt. And that's my argument with you is it doesn't need the championship belt because The Rock is not making it about the championship belt. Yeah. Now, to be fair, Cody's story was to win the WWE championship. I feel like along the lines throughout time, the story got altered when Cody faced Roman. And then on that episode of Smackdown where Cody was walking up the ramp and Roman Reigns was right there. And that's when they kind of let us know the story is all about Cody and Roman. And the story is, yes, it's the WWE championship, but also at this stage of the game, it's Roman Reigns. So I would say 1000% Roman and Rock is not overshadowing anything. But I would also go as far as saying is they absolutely don't need the championship belt.
Yeah.
However, I very much believe based on the short period of time that I've been watching Triple H booking, I think with 100% confidence, I'm going to increase it from 99% to 100% confidence. For what I've been saying over a month now, I have been saying that it's going to be The Rock and Roman at Elimination Chamber and Cody versus Roman WrestleMania Night 2.
Yeah,
I have a 100% confidence, no matter how they do it, whether it's Elimination Chamber or WrestleMania Night 1, Cody and Roman is closing WrestleMania 40 Night 2, and Cody is finishing the story. And I say that with 100% confidence.
Yeah, I stand by that one.
And I think WWE is at a stage where right now impressive.
Now, let me ask you, do you think that they could? Because last year, everybody said the same thing about Cody and Roman. They were like, oh, Cody's standing tall with the title, but like last minute, they swerved us. Do you think that WWE could possibly swerve us again?
No.
No, you don't think so?
I don't think there's any funny business with this one.
I'm hoping not, man. I'm hoping not. I'm a big fan of what they're doing right now, and I like the idea of The Rock returning. I do want to make that very clear.
Yeah.
But I just I'm as a fan, right? Because I'm here as a fan, hoping that it does happen at the Elimination Chamber. Like you said, no funny business. Let's leave the funny business elsewhere because no matter where The Rock and Roman happens, it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
It
I actually, just to add to that, I think Cody beating Roman after beating The Rock
makes it
solidifies
even much
Cody's.
bigger.
It makes it even bigger. Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes it the grandest main event of all time.
Right, exactly, because you just walked over the guy who's been the greatest throughout the WWE for the last 20 years. You know what I mean?
100%.
So it's only a matter of time. I do believe that Cody's going to finish his story, and it's going to be the biggest thing since sliced bread.
100%. Couple shout outs. Jonathan became a channel member, so shout out to Jonathan. I appreciate that very greatly. Feel free to join us in Discord. The link is in the description if you've not already joined. But when you become a member on this channel, you do get access to VIP. And in 2024, I will be telling you guys very soon, actually, there will be some new perks with the YouTube channel membership. So we have a lot of people who are channel members on this channel. Some new perks that are dropping are going to be content related. And all existing members will unlock that as well. So if you guys are interested, feel free to become a member. Be cool, just like Jonathan. Shout out to you, Jonathan. Also, a super chat coming in from Tony Brown. He says, how about Authors of Pain with Paul Ellering? So I cannot wait to talk about this. So we might as well just do it right now.
Yeah, I mean, let's just dive right into it.
Billy, before I get your opinion on this.
Yeah, yep.
What did you think? Just forget about the execution of it, the booking of it.
Yeah.
What did you think initially when you saw Authors of Pain, Paul Ellering, Scarlett Boudreaux, and Karrion Kross stand tall on SmackDown?
It solidified the seriousness of the group, I think, directly, right? And last week we had the vignette and stuff like that, which I think kind of did it right away too. You know what I mean? But after seeing the power bomb where they, hit the Street
The
Profits,
Super Colliders is what Corey Graves was calling it.
the Super Colliders. Okay. Well,
They've done it several times, but yeah.
Yeah. I never knew the name. I just always looked at it like, oh, this is really cool. But seeing that on SmackDown, right? And not on, excuse me if my fan comes out here.
You're good.
On SmackDown and not NXT. And just seeing even just the whole show in general, I feel like I'm watching Black and Gold, dude.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love it so much. Dude, every part of me is like this. I'm cheesing. Because I love Black and Gold. That era from like 2015 to what? 2019?
2019, 2020 is when it kind of got bad, but for me,
it was just a beautiful time, and I feel like I'm getting it back in the way that we all kind of wanted it. The smaller pay-per-view stuff like that, but seeing AOP back on my television screen, amazing. I'm gonna plug you too because you did an interview with AOP.
Yeah, I was their first interview when they left WWE years ago. Great guys. Honestly, I'm happy to see them back. Two things I kind of want to mention about AOP in this new group. We don't know what the group's name is. So we have to keep watching to figure out their mission and why and what they're doing. But from a presentation standpoint, there was a lot to like about this. Now, what was interesting to me was the crowd didn't necessarily go crazy. However, the crowd didn't necessarily go crazy all night. And I can tell you guys, based on my Twitter feed, a lot of people really enjoyed SmackDown tonight. So
I think it was a soft crowd. I'm not going to lie to you. The crowd wasn't.
They had their moments.
Yeah.
They had their moments. And for a sold out crowd in Vancouver, 13,000 people in attendance, I was kind of shocked by that.
Yeah.
However, there's something I've learned here with WWE. And I appreciate this so much out of Triple H and the new regime. They are willing to put things on TV and give it a chance to grow. And we're starting to see how that actually benefits talent. And there's actually a couple examples of tonight where they did it with just a few seconds. They didn't even need to do anything. And we'll talk about that in just a minute.
Yeah.
But with AOP and Karrion Kross, the presentation is there. Honestly, I think that picture with Paul Ellering, Scarlett Boudreaux, who now has brunette hair, she actually undergone like a makeover for this character a little bit. Karrion Kross, hair's tied up. These guys are all looking scary and mean and aggressive and very bold and just ready to go. I think this is one faction to get excited about. However, I want to see WWE do something a little bit different here, because it's been a minute since I've seen Triple H do this, and Triple H did this, man, like when he first took over creative when the Vince McMahon allegations were gone, but they did like the whole thing with
the what was it? The hourglass?
No,
No?
not the hourglass. What I want them to do is start these episodes with pure chaos. I want SmackDown,
like when the Miz and Logan Paul in the
just
beginning
all
of
of
that
these
one
things
Raw.
where they're just like brawling around and going crazy. I want SmackDown next week to open up. Honestly, I want people to open up. I want SmackDown to open up with this new faction just beating the hell out of everybody. Because here's the thing, right? This is a dominant group. They took out Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. It's no joke. So that's the first point that I want to make. Their presentation is there. They need to book them like absolute killers. Karrion Kross has a dope finisher. AOP are badasses. Rizar, the Albanian Psycho. And it feels good to say that again because obviously I am Albanian. But the Albanian Psycho's on TV. He competed in MMA. He was like a legit killer in the MMA world. So like, I want them to bring that to TV. Tonight was a sneak peek of that. I can't wait to see how that unfolds. But there's something else that I need to talk about here. And I don't know if WWE did this on purpose. And I swear I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think they did, which is why this is amazing, because it's a lesson to Triple H. However, what I saw tonight was something I've noticed a little bit recently. The Street Profits came out initially as a heel group when they came to WWE television. And these fucking guys are just too cool to boo.
Yeah,
and nobody wants to boo them.
You cannot boo those guys. I'm so sorry. It's so hard. It's difficult.
You can't. And like I said, I think WWE really wanted them to be heel. And from the start, it was very obvious that the crowd will not allow that to happen.
Not with
Tonight
Montez
solidified
Ford
it.
doing what he does.
Exactly. It's too hard.
Yeah.
Tonight solidified it for me that they're going to be a babyface faction.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually perfect for Karrion Kross in their group, because I think these guys will have great matches and great segments and stuff. But to really get the crowd to boo Karrion Kross and to get them to boo this new faction, which again, it takes a little bit of time. Put them on TV,
Right.
let them do things. You have to let things evolve. If you're expecting these reactions right away, it's no bueno. WWE understands this.
You know how I think. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think now Triple H inadvertently screwed up by trying to make them heel. And I think this was them saying, okay, fuck it. People are going to cheer for them. Let's make them baby faces.
Right, exactly. So I'm gonna say that I'm looking at this Karrion Kross, and I'm looking at the faction, right? Yeah. First thing that comes to my mind is this is gonna be a great story, like a little one-off story for Cody Rhodes when he wins. I think
you can build him up.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be a great person to have feud against Cody Rhodes, and him losing to Cody Rhodes won't be such a big deal, because as long as if you build him up correctly, right? This tough fantasy booking, but that's how I look at it. When I seen it, I was like, oh, this is going to be great for Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes and Karrion Kross are like the perfect counterpart right now. You know what I mean? Obviously, I get like the Randy Ortons of the world, but I think for a one-off feud, maybe a backlash or something like that, I think Karrion Kross is going to fit that mold perfectly.
So here's what's cool about what you just said, and maybe this will go over some people's heads, but obviously WWE recently explained last week with Karrion Kross that every person he's feuded with, something's changed about them. And what I like about your theory of them having a one-off feud, let's say after Cody Rhodes finishes the story, I like the idea of this group being so powerful that eventually Karrion Kross and AOP destroy Cody Rhodes. Cody still retains the belt, but it kind of changes Cody's character a little bit.
Exactly. It kind of develops him.
It kind of just, it takes him to a different level, considering the fact that Cody is just this ultimate babyface. Right. So I like the potential that's there. Obviously, we are a long ways away from that.
Right.
And WWE has to get a lot right with this faction.
Yep.
But I will also say too, because this was one of the biggest things I hated about Vince McMahon was he would always change something from NXT that like never should have been changed.
It didn't need to be changed.
When Authors of Pain arrived on the main roster, originally Paul Ellering was taken away from them.
Which made
And
no sense because that was the one key piece that made them so good in NXT.
and then not only was Paul Ellering taken away, but later on they get managed by Drake Maverick, which nothing against Drake
I
Maverick.
forgot about that.
It didn't make sense and it was stupid. And I hated that. So I'm glad Triple H is like, hey, I know what I have with these guys. They make sense with Paul Ellering. You keep Scarlett Boudreaux, and on top of that, you get Karrion Kross as the leader. I think this further legitimizes Karrion Kross. And then what's actually really cool about this too, and it's really my last point on this segment, but I love the fact that WWE, the way that they did this reveal in general, was cryptic, but not so cryptic.
Yeah.
They didn't make you wait and wait and wait. It was very quick. It was the Street Profits and Bobby cutting a promo, and they cut this promo talking about, 2023, 2024 resolutions. And then we get this moment where I thought it was great. The lights cut out, the TikTok,
how it popped up
the
on
countdown on the screen. The
front.
end is near.
Yeah.
And then they do this really cool thing where the lights go out. Karrion Kross, Scarlett Boudreaux are right there. Paul Ellering shows up. Bobby Lashley and Street Profits are kind of confused. They get attacked from behind. It's a simple reveal. It didn't need to be anything crazy, but I like the flow of it, the look of it, and then the camera shot of the Street Profits and them looking on stage. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I do have to criticize WWE here.
Okay. Why?
And I know this probably went over a lot of people's heads, and they probably don't care about this, which, I mean, that's up to you guys. But me personally, because, again, I pay attention to the little things. That's what keeps me going. I was very intrigued to see that WWE has yet to follow up with B-Fab joining or not joining the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley. And they haven't followed up on that. So I was kind of curious as to
if this could be the time.
I thought maybe that could be the thing. Now, here's what I will say. There is still a chance that B-Fab could be joining the group because obviously Scarlett Boudreaux could wrestle.
Now, this kind of plays into because later in the night, Ashante Adonis.
Yeah.
I seen that, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a second for sure.
Continue on.
And it's funny because with B-Fab, it's like they kind of planted a seed and then they didn't follow up with that. So I don't know if this is WWE just making me be patient and there is going to be follow up to it. Maybe Street Profits and Bobby will then need her when they see Scarlett's involved. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something to pay attention to, obviously. That's a small detail, but it's one of those things where I'm like, she hasn't come out with them. Is she going to be with them? Is she not? They kind of teased it. And if she's not going to join them, it would be really nice for WWE to explain that on TV as to why she's not with them. And I trust that Triple H will do that, but also at the same time, too, I'm just kind of shocked. I thought tonight would have been a good time for them to have something there.
Right.
Clearly, they didn't do that. And
I mean, maybe they could let it be more of a, where Scarlett kind of plays into the faction a little bit more and she's doing the beat down or helping with it, whatever. Maybe not her actually helping beat down because I've watched her wrestle and no offense. I'd rather not. But I think she's great at the job that she does. Right.
Oh.
So maybe it could be one of those things. You know what I mean? Have her come out, B-Fab, save. Simple. It's again, as simple as the reveal was, could be as simple as that.
Yeah. I agree for sure. Thank you, Tony, for the super chat. Billy, you mentioned Ashante the Adonis.
Yep.
I don't know how many times you guys will hear me praise stuff like this a lot, which is cool. I don't just tell you guys I like something. I tell you why.
Yeah, and why do you?
Because Billy, 2 years ago, I don't know, I talked about why general managers need to come back.
Yeah.
And I swear one of the examples I used was like, if talent aren't being used, they can walk up to a general manager and say, hey, I need a shot. Right?
Yeah, which is just so beautiful.
So simple. I'm not asking for anything crazy. I didn't need general managers. I always said general managers should not be the main focal point, but like they should be there to tidy up loose ends and give reason for why things are happening on TV. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And Ashante the Adonis is a hell of a talent, bro. And nobody really got to see that when Hit Row was a thing. A couple weeks ago or about a month ago, he was tag teaming and working with Cedric Alexander on a dark match. And I talked about how there was some rumors that they might put up on the tag team division together. And tonight, Ashante the Adonis goes up to Nick Aldis. He walks into the room and he talks about he wants to work, bro. Like, he wants to work. And I thought one bar that was so good too was like, I'm starving, my ribs are showing.
Yep.
Like, this guy's really trying to show his boss, like, you're not giving me the opportunity I'm looking for. And I think he did a great job conveying that message. But I love this so much because it's so simple. And it tells us, by this being on TV, it tells us WWE wants us to take this guy seriously before they put him out there.
Rightfully so, man. Rightfully so.
Now, it's up to him. By the way, it's up to him, right? He's got to go out there and put on a show, but we know he could.
Yeah,
so
we've seen him wrestle. We've seen him wrestle. Ashante the Adonis, he was he did the hit row thing with, obviously, with Swerve and them, B-Fab, whatnot. He is one person that I thought throughout the whole time with hit row, I swore by it. I said, this guy needs a shot on his own. Because if it wasn't going to be Swerve in the WWE, it should have been him, in my humble opinion, right? Because obviously we see where Swerve's at now in AEW and whatnot. But Ashante coming out and saying this thing, and I think from the other day, right, this just kind of solidifies my statement on a light heavyweight championship.
Yes.
I think this solidifies it.
I love it. No, I 1000% agree. It solidified it because Nick Aldis says, I have some ideas for you. And the first thing I kept thinking, I'm like, well, what are his ideas? And the problem with this, and I'll tell you, it's one of my issues that I have for WWE right now, is you have your mid-card titles and you have your world championships, and there's a lot of really good talent who will not be able to compete for those world titles, and therefore they're not going to be in those massive stories. Why can't they have something to fight for? And I understand the argument.
Stories around that.
Yes. So the thing is, I actually fully predict, I'm at the stage where I predict WWE will not do a cruiserweight championship, but they will do a junior heavyweight championship.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, they did something small again today with Cameron Grimes, right? Mm-hmm. Cameron Grimes hasn't really been utilized well by WWE, and he gets involved with the Logan Paul theory and Grayson Waller thing. He's going to have a match next week.
Yep.
And I look at Cameron Grimes, I'm like, he's a hell of a talent. You're telling me Cameron Grimes and Ashante the Adonis and Cedric Alexander and all these other guys can't have something to compete for?
Yeah, because all those guys can tell really good stories. You know what I mean? Those guys
can wrestle.
They can wrestle. They're talented. They know what they're doing. Let them go out there. Let them wrestle, right? Let them tell some stories, man. Add more depth to these Friday night Smackdowns, these Monday night Raws. Give them more depth. Let them fight on pay-per-views for these titles. Make them feel important. Take me back to when I was a kid. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, I always think back too, man, and I know it's crazy, but I always think back to the times of WWE Velocity, right? And Velocity, I think those were Saturday nights, if I remember correctly. Yeah, they were Saturday nights. Uh-huh. And I would watch Velocity, and for some reason, it's like Jamie Noble and Billy Kidman and these guys. Like, they would just go out there and they would do some cool shit on TV. And, the cool thing about that is, like, you have a way better roster today than then. You can do this. You don't even have to have another show. We said it before. You don't have to have another show. You don't have to do a third hour specifically for them. Just make them feel as part of the show as much as possible. Right. Give them a belt.
Give them a segment. Give them 1 or 2 segments throughout the night. Let them compete. You can book them and you can add them into this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. I love it. I love it. I think it's a good idea. I think it's going to happen. I think Triple H knows better. I think one thing too that I need to talk to you about, Billy, is because we've talked a little bit about WWE's potentially, splitting up the tag titles and stuff like that. We've been waiting for it, and we're losing patience on it.
Yeah.
But tonight, obviously, with the Street Profits and AOP, and then we got the main roster call up of Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne against Pretty Deadly. I'm starting to feel like WWE is starting to cook up that tag team division.
It's starting to get really serious, and them belts are going to be separated pretty soon.
But then I got to ask you.
Bring it on, man.
I got to ask you.
All right. Come on.
If WWE separates those tag titles.
Yeah.
I need you to give me a scenario for
Okay.
Raw and for SmackDown, the World Tag Team Championships and the WWE Tag Team Championships, because that's likely what it's going to be. Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah.
Give me your scenario of how Judgment Day break off and lose the belts and how they go about it. Because I already have my first two champions and who's going to be and everything. So I need to hear from you, your thoughts.
So, I mean, for me, I think so number one title or one set of titles, I should say, needs to be broken off at a time, right? So for me, I stand by the Creed brothers over on Monday Night Raw. I know and I get it. They're an up-and-coming tag team, but I think that match that they had with Judgment Day, what was it, a couple weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
I think that them having the belts right now just makes sense. Let them run with these titles. Let them have really good matches with guys like DIY and stuff like that. Let them put on good wrestling shows. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I think in a matter of time, I think the Creed brothers should be the champions. Maybe that's a little crazy to say right now because they are still, what's the word that everybody in wrestling uses? Green?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. They are very green. But my SmackDown guys, the Street Profits.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So Ango, I want to ask you this question. I don't want you to just spin out, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you, how do you think we get these belts off of the Judgment Day? Go ahead.
Love the question. So I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna keep it 100 right here, okay?
Yeah.
And again, I like logic and I like when things are smart. And Nick Aldis needs to barge into Monday Night Raw, 100%.
Okay.
He needs to go to Adam Pearce and demand that the Judgment Day defend those titles on SmackDown.
Oh.
Nick Aldis needs to demand it. I have tag teams. My tag team division is on fire, and you are hogging the tag team championships on your show. He is conspiring against them, all this stuff. Nick Aldis barges in there, and then you start having some more tag team matches on SmackDown. With that being said, you got to have the tag team matches more on SmackDown. While this happens, Adam Pearce now barges into SmackDown, and he goes to Nick Aldis, and he says, you know what? I'm booking a tag team championship match at Elimination Chamber. And Nick Aldis says, no, you're not. I'm booking this championship match at Elimination Chamber. Okay? What's going to happen is that Adam Pearce is going to have a triple threat. Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis will have like a triple threat or quadruple. I don't know. It's going to be a fatal four-way or triple threat or something like that. And the Judgment Day are going to retain. Okay? This will be two tag teams from Raw, or one tag team from Raw plus Judgment Day, and two tag teams from SmackDown.
Okay? Got it.
Yep. Judgment Day retain the belts. Okay? You still following?
Yeah, I'm here.
Going into WrestleMania, Nick Aldis says, screw this. He's coming up with his new championship belts, and he's going to put the Judgment Day in action at WrestleMania Night 1. Adam Pearce will create his own championship belts and have them on Night 2. That means the Judgment Day are doing double duty at WrestleMania.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And you could do a tournament or whatever it is, championship gauntlet or whatever, tag team gauntlet, whatever you want to do.
So I want to stop you. So because a lot of people have predicted that Damian and Finn will actually be facing at WrestleMania. So it's kind of crazy that you're booking this all the way to WrestleMania.
Oh, I'm booking it all the way. They're not wrestling at WrestleMania. It's not happening.
Okay. Nope. All right. Continue.
Nope.
My apologies.
No, you're good. It's a good thing that you brought that up because we can clarify. They're not breaking up until maybe after WrestleMania.
Okay. Yeah.
But I would put at this stage, I would have the Judgment Day versus DIY Night 1. DIY do it. They finish it. They win the match. Night 2, I do like the idea of Street Profits being involved.
Yeah.
I think though, however, after what I saw tonight, I think you could very much tell a story of Pretty Deadly, Tyler Bate, and Butch. I think you could even do, we'll see kind of what happens here, but LWO, or Legado del Fantasma. You have a couple tag teams there cooking.
Yeah.
I would have one of those teams go up. I'm just based on the fact that I'm a fan of British Strong Style. I think you can have them go night 2. However, this is where it gets a little chaotic. I don't think Judgment Day drops the belts on to the SmackDown on night 2.
Really?
I think the Judgment Day actually moved to SmackDown completely. And this is where
I could see that because of the whole Dragon Lee North American title thing. Like I could see it. The LWO in general being on SmackDown, I think eventually that's going to cause some ruckus with the Judgment Day.
Yeah, I think too, Dom and Rhea stay on Raw. Damian and Finn Balor go to SmackDown.
We're breaking them up.
So here's the thing. Technically speaking, no. But it's going to lead to the breakup when Damian Priest and Finn Balor eventually drop the belts to somebody on SmackDown. So me personally speaking, right?
Yeah.
You have to think a little bit more in detail, and it's obviously a little bit harder to do that on the live stream. But I think the idea of setting it up with, Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce fighting about it, I think that's how you set it up. And then the cool thing is you could literally have Judgment Day drop it both nights. I would even go as far, and maybe this is where people would hate me for saying this, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying under Vince McMahon, it sure as hell could happen. With Triple H, I don't know if Triple H would do this kind of booking, but I would say you could have them drop the titles both nights. Damian Priest could cash in successfully on Seth Rollins or CM Punk.
Wow.
And I do think that's actually kind of realistic.
The Money in the Bank briefcase, I know I'm gonna get a little off topic here, but the Money in the Bank briefcase worries me under Triple H booking.
It doesn't worry me.
Really?
It doesn't worry me.
It worries the hell out of me. I cannot lie because I feel like it is just we have a story, it's set, and this is where we're going. I question why the Money in the Bank briefcase is around right now.
Because there's something so much larger.
And what could it possibly be? Because I see Damian Priest with the briefcase.
Yeah.
And at least right now, I can't say for future reference, but right now, it feels like that thing is just there. It kind of lingers. It feels like Damian's going to lose. Where do you see Damian in the plans? In the plans that us fans are speculating?
Yeah, right? I mean, I think there's 2 options, right?
Right.
And I think both of them are good. If Damian Priest loses, that's the way for him to eventually turn babyface. He could blame Judgment Day for not having his back.
Yeah.
That's the first way, right?
Yeah.
The second thing is he can cash in and successfully cash in.
So you're saying regardless whether this thing, if it's successfully cashed in or not, it could still play a factor into a bigger story.
100%, no matter what, I think it does. I think that's why they've been much more patient with it. And this is where I will actually give WWE credit. Yeah, Damian Priest holding the Money in the Banks. He's been holding it for a while. That's kind of the point. He's a heel.
Yeah.
He is going to cash in at the most opportune time. He is not going to be Big E and tell everybody I'm cashing in tonight.
Or the
He's
Rob
not going to do
Van
that.
Dams of the world.
He ain't going to do that.
Right.
So the cool thing about Money in the Bank now, and this is why wrestling is so captivating in WWE, it could literally happen anytime. For all we know, Damian Priest could be an idiot and try to cash in on Roman Reigns.
Yeah, that's crossed my mind a couple times.
And he could fail.
Yeah.
Or he could be successful. You never know.
Yeah, so, I guess it's the lingering factor.
I think here's the issue, and I get where you're coming from, but I've seen a lot of people criticize the same way. I think when you have Money in the Bank, everybody wants it to be this very, very massive ordeal where they think they have it all figured out. One of the best cash-ins ever, in my opinion, and trust me, there's been some great ones, but one of my favorite cash-ins, one of the best cash-ins ever, is Seth Rollins against Roman Reigns.
It's the greatest of all time.
I don't think there's a cash-in that beats that. And I, even as a YouTuber, content creator, constantly, I remember watching that. And when I saw him cash in, I was like, it's a triple threat? Oh, he's going to lose. Yeah. What an idiot.
Yeah.
He pulls it out and wins. So I feel like you can go about this 2 different ways, and I think both ways are successful. What he can't do is do what Austin Theory did, because I will never question the logic of Austin Theory cashing in on a U.S. champion or Intercontinental championship. Like anybody going for a mid-card belt, I don't question the logic of it. You're allowed to do that.
Right.
My issue though with Austin Theory was he held it for a while. Then it was like,
Then it
oh,
became overplayed.
it was almost like they just did it to fucking like be done with the briefcase.
Yeah,
That's not what they're doing with Damian Priest, and I appreciate that.
absolutely.
I did want to read this super chat from John Nah. Do you remember?
There it is. There it is.
$4.99 super chat. If someone fails Money in the Bank cash in, should somebody else be able to get it? Don't want it to go to waste. And I love this question. I have a very interesting answer here, but Billy, I would love to hear what you have to say.
So I feel like then we're just playing hot potato with a briefcase. I already see hot potatoes with titles.
Okay.
Why do I need to see it with a briefcase? If somebody fails, no, that was your one opportunity. You messed it up. That's something Baron Corbin was a perfect example. And I felt like years ago when he failed his cash in, and you remember the downfall of Baron Corbin and how bad that was. And like he was walking out with the messed up t-shirt he was losing at the casino, all this and that. I felt like that would have been the best time is after the briefcase and after he failed. That would have been a perfect time for that Baron Corbin story.
Yeah.
Everything was bad for him. John Cena messed it up for him. There was just so many different variables that went into that. So no, I don't believe that somebody else should get it. I think that's your one opportunity. You get it, let it be. And then after that, you wait until the next year. And if it's done, it's done. And then because there's already that lingering factor of, it plays into a lot of the stories as the year progresses.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it like say 6 months in, somebody decides to cash in and they lose. I don't think it should have to go to somebody else and we should have to do another 3 or 4 months of lingering. Like it's there. Let it be there.
Yeah. So what I would like to see, first of all, I agree. It shouldn't be, oh, you lose it and then somebody else gets the briefcase, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I never mind treating the Money in the Bank like a championship. So where you win the Money in the Bank and the longer that you hold on to it, now the general managers force you into matches. So,
okay, see, that's not a bad idea.
So this is an interesting concept. And I know this is just a concept. So guys, just bear with me. But imagine, and maybe this works better with a heel general manager like Nick Aldis, Money in the Bank holder, Damian Priest. This is all theoretical, right?
Yeah.
He goes to SmackDown. He's got Money in the Bank. Nick Aldis says, "Hey, man, I got a television show to run. We need ratings. You're holding on to this Money in the Bank. Everybody wants to see what you're doing. You're not even making attempts. I'm going to put you in a singles match. You're going to put your Money in the Bank briefcase on the line. So now, if you're holding the Money in the Bank briefcase for a while, there's always the chance that you can lose it. Yeah. I wouldn't mind that. I would never mind that at all because it could be interesting if somebody actually steals your Money in the Bank briefcase from that, right?
Yeah.
But also, it would be cool from a general manager perspective because it's like, hey, like we're trying to run a business here. You're not even utilizing it. You have 1 year. General managers they should be on TV telling Damian Priest, like, hey, man, like, don't forget your time's expiring soon.
Right.
And you got to keep it front and center. So I would never be opposed to that. But also, I'm one of the big believers in that WWE needs to get rid of the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. And I know that they won't, but let me explain why. Damian Priest is holding this Money in the Bank briefcase. And I think, like I said, either way that they go about it, whether he wins or loses, I don't think there's a bad scenario here.
Yeah.
However, what if Money in the Bank was back on WrestleMania and you literally have these massive 8-man tag ladder matches or 8-man Money in the Bank?
I'm so sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
That was part of WrestleMania at one point.
It was. So
that's what made it feel special.
How much better would it be, though, if Damian Priest was last year WrestleMania, he's in the Money in the Bank match. He wins, right? And he's a heel, right? And because he's a heel, he might be the biggest idiot because Cody Rhodes finishes the story and Cody Rhodes is beaten and bruised and he goes to cash in on Cody and fails. He was a little too eager. It was WrestleMania. He wanted the spotlight. He's the bad guy. He wanted the spotlight. Oh, I'm going to take the belt from Cody and be unsuccessful. I think that's fantastic and compelling TV because you didn't have to wait a year to do it.
No, it's just quick and you're getting it done. You're getting it out the way and you're instantly telling this story.
Because
right
the
away.
heel won in the first match of the night. He wins the briefcase at the end of the night. Even though it looks like he's going to beat Cody, who just finished the story, oh my God, Cody was able to even outlast Damian Priest.
Right. The odds were fully stacked against him. Yeah, no, I think I agree though. I think you create very, very compelling TV instantly by doing that.
Yeah.
Now, do I think, like you said, WWE will do it? No, I
No,
don't.
there's a lot of money in the Money in the Bank
Right.
pay-per-view.
Exactly.
But I do think it's one of those interesting concepts where you get rid of it off the pay-per-view and have it in the match. Um, I just feel like, again, this is why they can do so much, man. They can do so much if they just, and I get it from a business perspective, and people might not agree with me, but I just feel like the Money in the Bank pay-per-view should have a different name. I think Elimination Chamber pay-per-view should have a different name. It should be No Way Out.
Way out. Yep.
Because you can do Hell in a Cell, you can do steel cage matches, you can do Elimination Chamber. It doesn't need to be on a pay-per-view.
Right.
But imagine you have that pay-per-view not be a gimmick match. The gimmick matches could happen anytime. Technically speaking, if you get rid of the gimmick match pay-per-view like Money in the Bank, you can do New Year Revolution, which I find this to be a cool concept. You can move the Money in the Bank matches to SmackDown New Year's Revolution. And now it's a main event match where somebody wins Money in the Bank.
And it's a must-see show instantly.
Yeah. It's just an idea. It's an idea that I would have, and I think it could work. So that's why, Jonna, I don't believe that if you lose the money or if you win Money in the Bank and you fail your cash in, somebody else should get the opportunity.
Absolutely.
But I think they could definitely do some tweaking to it.
I agree.
We did get another super chat. Thank you, Jonna. Appreciate it. We got another super chat from I Am Not Avery for $4.99. He says Priest cashes in on Punk on the Raw after Mania. Bet.
That's a very Michigan bet right there.
I like this. I'm not opposed to a Money in the Bank cash in after WrestleMania. I feel like WWE needs to do a lot after this year's Raw after WrestleMania for excitement purposes. You know, we already know Triple H at this point, weekly television, he's doing good with booking and he's consistent. But if you really want to make Raw after Mania feel important again, you do this.
Yeah, I stand by that. I think, especially after last year's catastrophe, and how I think we can all agree, right? I feel like we can all agree that show was horrible.
I don't say it's horrible.
Wow.
But I will say it was not. If it was any standard Raw, I would have been like, it was fine.
Yeah, I mean, it was a regular Raw. At the very
I would say a little bit less than regular, but it was still somewhat like, okay.
Yeah.
But that Raw after WrestleMania was not on the quality or caliber that a Raw after WrestleMania should
it was
be.
It was not the Dolph Ziggler cash in.
It was not.
And that is what I need. So this makes sense. Now, whether he wins or loses, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you instantly want to make that Raw feel special, this is a great way to do it. So I stand with I Am Not Avery. I think this is a great idea. I think in whoever I mean, there's a chance Punk could not be the champion. We're talking about Punk. It could be Rollins. You never know.
Nah.
Listen, come on now.
I like Seth Rollins a lot, and I think Seth Rollins needs to somewhat undergo a character change a little bit. So even though it's a little bit predictable for CM Punk to end night one as champion, he gets that moment, bro. And he gets that moment, and quite honestly, that's a big fuck you to AEW. Because the only reason why he came to WWE was because of his issues with, or the reason why he went to AEW was because WWE made him fall out of
WWE.
And so he comes back to WWE and they give him that moment. That's a massive fuck you. And that's a middle finger straight to them. And here's the thing. You get Punk on camera holding the belt with confetti and all of the stuff, the pyro that WWE typically does. And I feel like if you do that, the next night Punk cuts a promo.
Yep.
Judgment Day can attack him. Damian Priest can have a successful cash-in. I feel like WWE is not, I mean, this is just my opinion too, and maybe you'll disagree, Billy, but I feel like there's so much money in the Judgment Day, and it's a very, very big success. I don't think you get rid of them just yet. I think you tease it here and there, but I think Damian Priest will hold it after he drops those tag team titles to DIY and Butch and Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. And then on Raw, he wins the World Heavyweight Championship from Punk. I think it's a good visual. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
See, my thing about the Judgment Day is I don't think Damian Priest and Finn Balor are good with the Judgment Day. I think Dom Mysterio and Rhea Ripley solidify the Judgment Day. It almost reminds me, and I know this is very it's almost the exact same thing of China and Eddie Guerrero.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me so much of that, and I think eventually they need to fade off from the Judgment Day.
You think they should be their own thing?
Yeah, 100%. I believe that Dom Mysterio and Rhea Ripley, they work so well together. They're the money. I don't think Finn Balor and Damian Priest are the money, or JD McDonough.
I think R-Truth is the money.
I think so too. I can agree with that. I think R-Truth is all business.
I disagree with you, bro.
Really?
I wouldn't mind Rhea and Dom doing their own thing, but not like that. You got to go. You give that time, because I think Judgment Day is a success because of Finn Balor and because of Damian Priest and JD McDonough and all of them combined. I think one of the biggest things here that you got to keep in mind with the Judgment Day is that Finn Balor and Damian Priest, sometimes they're on the same page and sometimes they're not. That's normal. That's what humans do.
Yeah.
You're going to have issues with your boy, right?
Right.
What I like about the idea of keeping them together is that eventually they need to split.
Right.
But when they split, what do? Have JD McDonough just do singles matches and that's it? No, you can do something with Dom and JD McDonough being a tag team. You can spin off 100 different ways. What I would say is that everybody is equally important into the group.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why it's a storyline of some people feeling like I should be the leader, or maybe I'm the leader, or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
there is. Absolutely.
It's not like they're not telling the story. So what I would say, even though I disagree with you, what I would do if I were the WWE, honest to God, man, I would have Damian. I think this is how you do it. Damian Priest cashes in on Punk on the Raw after Mania. I think you run the angle of Judgment Day helps him. CM Punk loses the rematch to Damian Priest at whatever the next pay-per-view is, Extreme Rules or whatever the hell they announce, Backlash or whatever. I forgot how they go about it post WrestleMania. But the first pay-per-view, Punk loses. The Judgment Day help him. And the Judgment Day keep helping Damian Priest. And now Damian Priest is so reliant on these guys. And Finn Balor. You want that singles match? You want that split? Finn Balor is the one who's always doing the work for Damian Priest. And Damian Priest is the world champion. Finn Balor sick and tired of it. And then there you go. Damian Priest and Finn Balor for the World Heavyweight Championship. Finn Balor leaves the group. Finn Balor leaves the group, goes on to do his own thing as a singles competitor. You could even have him beat Damian Priest if you want, but even if he loses to Damian Priest, no big deal. The Judgment Day, look at Finn Balor, and now they're pissed. They turn on Finn Balor because Finn Balor wasn't the one calling himself a leader, but now he's tired and jealous of what Damian Priest is doing. So there's a million ways you could go about it. That's my point.
So we're standing by the idea, apparently, from the sounds of it, that CM Punk holds the belt for one night.
100%. He doesn't need to hold it for longer. Literally, you do this for CM Punk to have his moment, bro. That's it. CM Punk, like I said, it's his moment, and it's a big fuck you to AEW.
Yeah, for what? A day?
It's the visual, bro. It's the moment that you got to main event WrestleMania Night 1 in front of everybody and
win.
You
signed CM Punk for years. Like 3.
Do you think CM Punk needed the world championship in AEW?
No, but it made business sense the same way this makes business sense.
And that's where I'll disagree with you, because WWE's business was already good without CM Punk. So unfortunately, your opinion is totally invalid.
Okay, yeah.
AEW was a start. No. Hold on. AEW was a startup. AEW needed a top name to hold the belt. And WWE's business has Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns holding world titles, and they're doing just fine. With or without CM Punk holding the belt, they were doing just fine. They were doing record numbers just fine. They didn't need him. It's not like CM Punk needs to hold the belt. Now, what I will say is this. You have the WWE draft coming up.
Yeah.
Right? At that point, after that, you have the WWE draft. Okay, cool. Have SmackDown get CM Punk on USA Network, and he'll kick in the new era with, USA Network and everything. And Cody Rhodes finished the story, and now you need some very legitimate heels to go against Cody. Summer of Punk, 2024.
No better heel than corporate Punk.
I'm just saying, bro, this is not that complicated. I really don't think it's that complicated. Punk doesn't need the belt just for one night. That's fine. Or you could even have Damian Priest. Listen, here's the cool thing, right? The flip side to that, Damian Priest could fail his cash in because the Judgment Day don't help him. they can kick him out of the group, and then he becomes a babyface after he loses the briefcase.
And that's what I've kind of been standing by, is that he can lose it. I think that's the route that they should go, is that he should lose, because no, I do not. I just sadly don't agree that he should hold it for one day. I don't.
Yeah. I would tell you this much. I think there's a lot of guys on this roster who have been busting their ass for the last 3 years who could be really good world champions. Sami Zayn, Gunther. I think you can credit Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
There's a variety of talent. LA Knight could jump over to Raw and win the World Heavyweight Championship.
There are so many names.
There is a plethora. And I'm going to tell you right now, off the rip, with Roman Reigns holding such a long championship reign, and now Seth Rollins has done the same, it brought credibility to the belt.
Yeah.
But now you do need a short reign. And when Cody wins the belt, he shouldn't hold it for a year.
No, I think 6 months to 8 months.
When Punk wins the belt, it should be a very short reign, one day.
No, I do. No, I don't. That's 100%. Something we're going to have to agree to disagree.
I'll tell you off the rip, there's no way I'll ever agree with you that he should be holding the belt longer than that.
Than a day.
Even if he retains and or if Damian Priest fails his cash in on Punk on the Raw after Mania, I'll tell you off the rip right now.
Yeah,
Punk should not hold that belt for more than 2-3 months.
That's fair.
And let me ask you a question: who would take the belt off of Punk? That's a legitimate heel.
A legitimate heel to take the belt. Okay, so if we're talking 2 to 3 months after WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Right?
Based on today's booking.
We talk about a draft.
Nope, no draft.
No draft?
I don't want you to factor anything from draft. I want you to factor based on today's booking. Who is the one that takes it off of Punk?
I mean, sadly, the only person that really comes to mind on Raw is Drew McIntyre.
Okay. Drew McIntyre, the guy who hasn't been able to beat anybody for the last 12 championship
just
runs.
Lied to you, and again, we're live, guys, so excuse me. Gunther.
Okay. Let's go with your theory of Gunther.
Yeah, that was a brain fart that I had.
How does Gunther get there? With Punk. Punk wins the world championship. Damian Priest fails his cash in on Monday Night Raw. You're saying Gunther is the guy. How do we get there?
Well, obviously, we have the Bash at Berlin.
Okay.
Which is, what month is that? Is that in August?
I want to say May or April.
May or April.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
You instantly just have Gunther come out, pretty much, right? You have Gunther come out. You have him, I mean, almost, I'm not even going to say relinquish the Intercontinental title, but come out, cut a promo, talk about how he is legitimately, he's beaten everybody. There's nobody else he can beat. He's going for the World Heavyweight Championship. I'll relinquish this if I have to, or not, or I'll defend this, right? And you can do it a couple weeks down the line, because obviously, like you said, it's April or May. I think, I want to say it's in, I'm sticking by later in the summer.
No, it's not, because July is Money in the Bank. SummerSlam is August.
But Backlash is May 4th.
Then maybe it's April. No, it's not. I don't know. You know how it is, man.
Yeah.
They do like 2 of them a month.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways that I feel like Gunther can go about this, but I stand by he could easily come out. He could do some work with the general manager, something along those lines, to create his opportunity, because he's definitely been the one who, if anybody deserves it over on Monday Night Raw, is the one.
Okay. With your theory, the only possible way I would allow this to happen if I was the booker, if I was Triple H, right? Put myself in Paul Levesque's shoes. The only way I would allow this to happen is if Gunther squashes CM Punk in less than 5 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm fine with that.
So here's the thing, though, right? As much as I would approve that, and I would be like, yeah, hey, let's do it, I don't think Gunther should do that. And I don't think WWE should do that with Gunther. The reason why is because I feel like there is a higher caliber match that they could do for Bash in Berlin. And this actually requires Gunther to go to WrestleMania 40 and retain his Intercontinental Championship. I would not have Gunther retain his Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania, and I would have him retain it at Bash at Berlin. Gunther versus Brock Lesnar, headlining Bash at Berlin. That's me personally. That's my personal opinion. That's the big marquee match. That's how I look at it. The fellas in the chat are saying that the pay-per-view is August 31st.
Yeah, I'm peeping.
So you are right. You are right.
I
didn't think
knew
it was that
I
late.
knew it was August. I felt
Oh,
it
you
in
know
the
what it is? I think I'm thinking of Backlash France,
yeah, because
Paris.
that's
I
in
think
May. Yes.
that's in May. Yeah,
Yes.
okay. I knew I'm like getting I knew I was like getting some stuff mixed up. But either way, and let me just say, I am not Avery. Thank you for the super chat. And Real Take Wrestling responded with that on a super chat, and he says only works if Priest beats Punk in the rematch. So this is actually a good way to go off of it.
Yeah.
Damian Priest cashes in WrestleMania. No, I'm sorry, Raw after WrestleMania. Damian Priest cashes in. Your theory of Gunther, it's not bad. I don't like hate it, but
Yeah.
the only way I do it is if Gunther beats him. The problem that you have to remember here is with Damian Priest, if he fails his cash in, either way, he's going to be in the feud for the world championship. He's going to be in the feud. It's not like he's going to fail his cash in and then do like nothing. He's
Right,
going to be
exactly. He jumps kind of right into the feud.
yeah. Priest cashes in on Punk on Raw. Punk loses it. Damian Priest holds the belt. Then you could do a storyline where you can have Gunther be the one to take out Damian Priest. You could do a storyline where Drew McIntyre takes out Damian Priest, which makes a lot of sense. You could do a storyline where Finn Balor takes out Damian Priest at that point. You can go a lot of different ways. What I will say, the most ideal for me personally, as a fan of wrestling, is this is a make or break moment for Damian Priest. WWE has already solidified him as a top guy in the company. I do believe they did that.
Absolutely.
U.S. Championship reign under Vince booking was actually good.
Yeah, it wasn't horrible. It wasn't the worst thing on the show.
WWE did a good job of booking him. As far whatever people want to say, they did. Then obviously Judgment Day, he's come across as a top guy, and then obviously he had that match with Bad Bunny, right?
Oh, that solidified him in my eyes.
You can also, based on today's roster, and I would not be opposed to this at all, but based on Raw's roster right now, there's some talent there that have been working in the mid-card that could be elevated by having a match with Damian Priest.
Yep.
Chad Gable is one of them.
Yep.
Bronson Reed is one of them.
Ricochet is somebody that comes to mind.
Another guy, right?
Yep.
What I'm trying to tell you is Damian Priest beats Punk. Punk gets his rematch. Punk loses. Punk loses his rematch. Punk turns heel the next night. Summer of Punk. Punk doesn't need the World Heavyweight Championship. Damian Priest is feuding with whoever. You also have to assume probably at some point Seth is going to get back in the mix too.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Another thing.
Yeah.
You also have to factor in potentially any new signings from now until then because WWE could definitely do that.
Right.
My point that I'm trying to make is that there's a lot of people based on today's Raw roster that can go up and feud with Damian Priest, CM Punk, or Seth Rollins, regardless of the cash-in. I also think if you really want to be funny with the whole Judgment Day thing,
yeah,
and I don't think this is going to happen, but you can also have a little bit of fun with guys like JD McDonough and Dom Mysterio building those matches. I don't think that's the right way to go about it, but if Damian Priest won,
they can be factored into these.
You can definitely do that.
Yeah,
definitely be factored in.
I agree.
I would also say, I'll tell you off the rip, because we factor. I said that, and there's a reason why I told you keep the draft out of it.
Yeah,
WWE has the draft.
Yep.
CM Punk gets drafted to SmackDown, and I told you earlier CM Punk could go against Cody.
Cody Rhodes. Yep.
Who is a guy that could be a believable babyface? Let's say Judgment Day stay together. Damian Priest is heel. Who is a realistic babyface who can benefit greatly from winning the World Heavyweight Championship?
LA Knight.
LA Knight.
Yeah.
So imagine Damian Priest beats CM Punk thanks to the help of Judgment Day, and he's a heel. They need a formidable babyface to take him down.
LA Knight is their perfect guy.
Wouldn't that be a massive pop? LA Knight finally ends the reign.
It would be, but then we talk about the heel side of it. The one that just I'm gonna throw out there in limbo that you can move over to Monday Night Raw is Santos Escobar.
So that's another option, right? You have Santos. And I'll throw this out there too. I know people might not like this, but Andrade's returning, which, by the way, in just a few moments, I want to talk about Andrade. But Andrade's returning. Andrade NXT Championship reign was pretty freaking awesome.
That was.
Andrade and Damian Priest would have a really good match. There's a lot of things you can do.
Yeah, there's a lot of places we could go here.
So I think the right way is keep Judgment Day heel,
Okay.
Get the heel heat of cashing in on CM Punk. Eventually, CM Punk moves away from them, goes to SmackDown. There's a lot of ways to go about it.
Okay. That's fair.
Shout out to everybody dropping super chats. Appreciate it. We're deep diving on this one. That's for sure.
We really are.
Dan Moser drops $4.99. He says, "How long can you see Gunther holding the IC title, and who can you see taking the title off of him?" And I love this question.
Oh, can I answer it?
No, fuck you. No, just kidding.
Fuck this guy.
No, go ahead. Definitely answer.
So, instantly, I do not think he should lose the belt. I think he should relinquish it.
Nope.
Nope. Agree to disagree, pal. Nope. I think there is nobody better, and nobody should beat Gunther for that belt. Not a soul. Not a soul should beat him for that belt.
No.
And I stand by that.
No. Why?
Dude, he is too dominant, especially if you're going to have him go fight eventually for the World Heavyweight title, right? Because eventually that is, the plan, right? And I get it. There's a lot of people like, Chad Gable who have put up good matches. You could factor in Ludwig Kaiser, who eventually that's going to happen. Bronson Reeds of the world. I get it. I've heard it all. You know what I'm saying? I've heard all the names. I've seen them all wrestle. They're all great. They're all fantastic, but none of them are on Gunther's level. He is the greatest Intercontinental champion of all time. Simple as that.
Got you. I love that you said this. I disagree.
Okay.
This is my opinion. It's not new if you guys follow me. Gunther having a significant reign reminds me a lot of Roman. And it's best to put somebody over as the babyface. And Gunther has done so much for the Intercontinental Championship that he can afford one loss. You do that with Chad Gable. Okay? You do it with Chad Gable. Because once Chad Gable wins the Intercontinental Championship, and then he's having matches on the weekly basis with Bronson Reeds and Ludwig Kaisers and everybody like that, Chad Gable is eventually going to be ready to take the World Heavyweight Championship. It's going to be the stepping stone. But let me say something, because I know you're ready to cut me off. Gunther, this entire time we've talked about Gunther and the World Heavyweight Championship. And the reason why I genuinely hated your opinion on that, just, man to man, respectfully, I hate your opinion about Gunther versus CM Punk or like winning the World Heavyweight Championship. Because Gunther should be going to SmackDown and feuding with Cody Rhodes and then eventually winning the WWE Undisputed Championship from Cody. Because we're in the business of making new stars and getting people to a different level that they've never been before. Yeah. So if Gunther dropped it to Chad Gable, he finally becomes the singles standout that he was always meant to be, that he was never given that chance. And it changes everything. But if you have Gunther, right, relinquish his title, because I actually believed that a while ago. A long time ago, I was like, oh, he should just relinquish it and cash it in option C. That was my thing. But I think if you have Gunther lose the belt to Chad Gable, Gunther doesn't even get a chance to go back for it. He gets drafted immediately to SmackDown. He can't compete for the Intercontinental Championship. He got screwed. The GM screwed him. Gunther gets pissed at Nick Aldis or whoever the GM is, maybe wink, wink, William Regal. He gets pissed. You drafted me. I want my rematch. He can't make the rematch happen. This is why it's good to have GMs on TV. I know you want your rematch clause, but you're not on that show anymore. Gunther gets screwed. It makes sense. Gunther, at that point in time, he gets drafted to SmackDown. Imperium stay on Raw. Ludwig Kaiser could be competing against Chad Gable because I do believe they're going to go singles route with Ludwig Kaiser.
Yeah, so do I.
Gunther versus Cody is a feud at a SummerSlam or a Royal Rumble or a WrestleMania. That day, that visual of Cody and Gunther in the Royal Rumble last year made me believe.
It was a great visual.
It made me believe that WWE is going back to it, and I think that's why they did it. Gunther should be the one that takes the Undisputed Championship from Cody, and that's how I would go about it. Simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, and I hear you. And I do believe that it's fair, right? Because of what we seen last year with Cody and Gunther and the story that you can build behind it. I genuinely, I see what you're saying. I do. But Gunther is this dominant heel. And I really like the idea of Chad Gable. But what is Chad Gable doing right now on TV that a couple months ago when he fought for the Intercontinental title, you could have given me this argument and I would have said, absolutely. I think that is a fair play to you.
Yeah.
But looking at TV now, right,
Uh-huh.
and what we're booking right now,
Mhm.
there is no signs of Chad Gable doing anything but being with the Alpha Academy. I haven't seen a tease. In fact, I've only seen new members. Whether Chad Gable needs the Alpha Academy or not is neither here nor there. But
Mhm.
what I will say is that they are not doing anything on TV with Chad Gable to get him to the point to where I can believe that that's the guy who should beat Gunther. And I stand by it. The option C route. I don't think, because then if you think about it, right? If you really think about it,
Mhm.
if we're going to have him go over there and feud with Cody, which in all terms, there's a chance that you could be right? To where he could go over there and bash at Berlin. You're talking Brock Lesnar. There's a chance it could be him and Cody, because guess what? It's in August.
Yeah, now that I know it's in August, it definitely changes things a little bit.
Yes, so there's that. But
what? Hold on. WrestleMania is early April, like
It's like the
4th or 3rd or
it's
something
like the
like
first
that.
and the second, I thought.
Okay. Continue. My bad. I was just double checking.
No, you're all right. But I will say that I just feel like there's not. I can't get behind anybody beating Gunther right now. I
Mhm.
cannot. He's too dominant. He's too real, right? Unless you bring up Ilya Dragunov, you bring him up real fast, and then let that be a thing.
Mhm.
Then we could have a different discussion. But right now, nobody on this Monday Night roster, I believe, should be beating Gunther. And I kind of got sidetracked there. But the reason why I was talking about Cody Rhodes was strictly off the fact that if Gunther were to move to SmackDown right away, right now,
Mhm.
at the point of it takes away from those guys on SmackDown going up against Cody Rhodes. You know what I'm
Got
saying?
you. Can I ask you something though?
Yeah, go ahead.
You said something about Chad Gable. You're like, what is he doing right now? Right.
Yes. Yeah.
But you haven't forgot those matches with Gunther, right?
No. Nope. Mm-mm.
You haven't forgot about the camera angle of his daughter crying because he
Nope.
lost?
Nope.
Okay.
That was in his hometown too.
You know how I talk to you often about how little things matter?
Yes.
Okay. Would it make sense for Chad Gable to eventually, at some point on TV, self-reflect on almost coming this close to the Intercontinental Championship and then realizing, what am I doing with Akira Tozawa and Otis, and eventually breaking away?
But
Can
wouldn't
he
that turn?
logically do that?
But yes, logically you can. But wouldn't
Okay.
that logically make him the bad guy in the story?
Why?
Because what are you doing with Akira Tozawa and Otis? I'm helping them. I'm growing them. Remember, it's an academy. I need to teach them.
Thank you for telling me that, Billy. Thank you.
Yeah.
Brooks Jensen and Josh Briggs on NXT with Fallon Henley looked
But-
at each other and said they should all go their separate ways, right?
Yes.
Chad Gable, without having to be a dickhead, could look at them and say, guys, I appreciate everything. You guys are ready to do this on your own, but there's something I need to do. I need to get back to it. I'm coming for the Intercontinental Championship, and I need to be 1000% focused on that. And amicably, he can leave Alpha Academy. You're telling me that can't be done? It takes 30 seconds for a backstage segment to look at them and say, guys, I love everything you're doing, and you guys have officially graduated. You guys are ready to go and blossom and do your own thing, which we all know that ain't really happening because Chad Gable's obviously the star of the group.
Right.
But Chad Gable could break away, and then he even kind of maybe different color singlet and kind of changes up his appearance a little bit, just slightly, and then goes on a string of more singles matches to then eventually go and face Gunther.
I mean,
The history is there. The
see what
history,
you're
the video packages, the visuals of him coming so close, he just snaps out of it and realizes it. Like, what I'm telling you is not illogical.
No, it's not illogical, but in the idea of it actually happening, right?
I think it's very possible. I think WWE, everything, actually, one thing I can tell you 1000%, and I can tell you this straight to your face, man to man,
Yeah.
respectfully.
Yes.
If you're watching this product, everything happens for a reason. We've seen this 1,000 times.
Absolutely.
So I think the greater picture was that those things happen for a reason.
Okay. I mean, I'm not going to hold you too much against it. I'm not. Now, I wanted to ask you a question, actually, and I
Yes.
kind of want to switch gears a little bit here
Perfect.
because it was
Really
something.
quick,
Yeah.
Dan, thank you so much for your super chat. I appreciate it. We're just firing on all cylinders tonight. We talking. We talking. This is fun, bro. This is the
Yeah.
best live review shows that you'll see because this is genuine conversation.
It's real.
We're not going to agree on everything, and trust me, guys. I love the community interaction. I'm trying. We're lost in good convo.
Right. Exactly. It happens
At
sometimes.
some point, I will reach out when I see comments. I will put them on the screen. Trust me on that. Just wanted to let you guys know I'm not ignoring you. It just we're getting lost in conversation, and yeah, I love it. This is fun.
So one thing that I wanted to talk about tonight was Me Chin in Io Sky and how great that match actually was. I thought it offered a great stance of women's professional wrestling. I thought the women tonight were really able to showcase their talent, and I thought we got to see a reason why Luke Gallows, the OC, if you will, and Michin should be on TV more, especially now with the whole AJ Styles Lone Wolf thing. Which recently I went and did a dive
Mhm.
into TNA and watched the whole story on the Lone Wolf of AJ
Yes.
Styles. So this all makes a lot of sense now.
Okay.
But tonight we got to watch this great women's division match.
Yeah.
And I really want to pick apart your brain on the match itself and what you thought about it.
Mhm.
And if you're feeling the exact same on Michin, I thought tonight put on a great match and she showed why she needs to be on my television screen that much more.
Yeah, I agree 1,000% with you. Lot of credit should be going to WWE with the way they're handling the women's division lately. Honestly, like I genuinely believe that because my biggest criticism maybe 4 months ago was that the women's division was not being booked. It
It
wasn't
was
being utilized.
it was in a really tough position.
This reminds me a lot of Becky Lynch defending the NXT championship on Raw, right? You
Yep.
have the women's champion showcasing her challengers.
Yeah.
This is what Triple H is doing with a lot of talent. And it goes back to what I said about 5 minutes ago about things actually mattering. Things matter and the little things matter. There's a reason why it's happening on TV. I fully predict by 2025, Mia Yim will have earned the women's championship. They got to get through the damage control storyline for sure.
Right.
They got Jade Cargill coming in, potentially Giulia and Camille. We'll see how that all plays out and what they do.
I agree. I do not see a world where Michin Mia Yim
Yeah.
doesn't hold that championship by 2025.
Yeah. I genuinely believe it happens. First of all, which I don't know why I love this so much. But what I loved so much about this match, right? To me, it was a showcase for Mia Yim.
Yeah.
Kind of like Zelina Vega and Rhea Ripley at Backlash, right?
Yeah.
Mia Yim is somebody who initially might not get the greatest pop right off the rip, right?
Right.
But that crowd was into it when she was wrestling.
Oh, yep.
And when I say things are done for a reason, I would say this was the match that got people on board with Mia Yim. Because I know what she can do. I've seen her on the indies. I've seen her in TNA.
I've seen her wrestle all over the world.
I've seen it. I know what she can do. I knew she was capable of this stuff. But what really impressed me too, and this is where I really have to give credit to Triple H. I genuinely mean this. It seems like as of late, people in general, regardless of gender, which makes it even better, it just seems like they're letting people go out there and do their thing. And this match kind of started slow a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it picks up and it picks up and it picks up. And then Michin hits the Styles Clash off the second rope.
Dude, it was nuts.
And
It was nuts.
I'm
But it's playing
telling
into
you,
this. It's playing into the AJ story too.
it is. But also what's really cool here is that she almost gets the win.
And it's
So
just everybody wants to cheer.
and people were into it. And I think this is one of those things where I'm just like, holy shit, they have something good here. Because here's the cool thing. She convinced me tonight, and I knew this beforehand, but I'm saying WWE convinced me tonight that she should be one of the ones that are in the title picture in the future and winning the belt, right?
Yeah.
But now that I got to see her wrestle on WWE TV and they actually let her wrestle and let Io Sky wrestle, what do you think that does to my excitement
when I hear Naomi's coming back. When I see videos of Jade Cargill training with Natalya
At the
dungeon, and I see Jade Cargill doing some impressive stuff, I think that makes me very excited to see some fresh matchups.
I think the future for the WWE women's division is fine.
100%.
They're going to be okay, especially with the likes of Cora Jade down in NXT. You got the Roxanne Perez's of the world down in NXT. I'll go as far as say the Gigi Dolans. I think she's great.
There's a lot of people they could call up, which makes it fascinating. But before they call those people up, right, you got to work with what you have right now on the roster, and you got to let them work.
The Candice LeRae's, the Indy Hartwells. I can imagine we'll see more of them soon.
There is so much, man. And I felt like for a minute, WWE, you know, they put her on TV with the OC and stuff. And like, that's cool.
Yeah, it was
and
cool. Yeah.
I like that idea too of putting them together once AJ goes through this little identity crisis.
Can I make like a quick statement? Mm-hmm. She looks so sick in her entrance too.
She's got the presentation and aura down.
The swagger is written all over her.
Like I said, everything's happening for a reason. There's a purpose for everything on TV. And what we saw with Mia was like, it's stuff I knew, but it's WWE now showing it to me as to why it matters. And
right.
And I think credit needs to be given to Io Sky. For fucking so crazy to say this, because if it was Vince McMahon, we would not be seeing this, bro. Vince would have looked at Io Sky in NXT and he doesn't care. Triple H. I saw something today on Twitter too. Yeah. Triple H got the subscription. Apparently, one of the talents told somebody like Triple H got all the Joshi wrestling subscriptions. Like he's watching Stardom and he's watching TJPW and he's watching all this stuff. And Triple H is like, he's really become a fan of it. And I remember there was an interview where Triple H talked about it. Like somebody introduced him to it and he enjoys watching it.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I see Triple H as like, you know, and this is where it gets crazy too, because you got to factor in Giulia, right?
Yeah.
But look at Mia Yim, for example, and then let me tell you about Giulia. You look at Mia Yim, she has a match like this, right? Yeah. Have her do more stuff like this. Have your talent on TV more often. Let them wrestle. Let them keep going, right?
Yep.
You bring Giulia in. Giulia goes to NXT, right?
Yep.
NXT, she's just getting acclimated to the WWE system and whatnot.
Right.
Then you put Giulia on TV and you say, all right, go out there and wrestle. Triple H is not looking necessarily for the biggest pop right off the rip. No. He wants you to go there, and then by going there, you earn the fans' respect.
Right.
And I like this a lot because it gives me a lot of hope with the way Triple H is booking, where it's like wins and losses to a certain extent, they matter. But if you go out there and do enough, the loss doesn't hurt you.
Right, exactly. Because if you can win the crowd over, and this is something I want to make clear, if you can win the crowd over, and you've seen it tonight, you've seen it a lot tonight, especially with Tyler Bates and Pete Dunne, right? If you can go out there and you can wow the crowd and you take the loss, you almost rather the crowd reaction. Like, hey, if I'm going to lose, at least I'm about to get this really good crowd reaction and people are going to notice me.
And how do you get over naturally?
Make people feel. If you can drag emotion out, like tonight with Mia Yim and Io Sky, the reason why that match fits so well, it wasn't because of all the cool moves that you watched. I'm here to tell you, it was not. The cool moves added to it, but it's because they drew emotion into the factor, like you said earlier, Mia Yim almost won. And when you see a referee this close to the 3, you're like, right? And that's, I think, the Triple H effect.
Yeah. It's very satisfying to see what they do and to also look at, you know, there's a lot of talent in this company, man. They just need a chance. And it's kind of what I was saying with like Ashante the Adonis. Like, I put out a tweet. Let me see what I put. I want to say it word for word because I don't want to
mess it up or anything like that.
I said, all people really need sometimes is a chance. Ashante the Adonis is really going to shine. This is the small stuff that I talk about that's so important for having GMs. I swear, I feel like WWE heard me loud and clear. This is fire. But like, you see how sometimes, whether it's a 30-second backstage segment or whether it's a match for 10, 15 minutes, do you see how people are starting to capitalize on that and it's in their benefit?
Yes.
Like we saw it with Ivar and Bronson Reed.
Yeah.
We saw it with Becky Lynch and everybody that went into the open challenges with her.
Yeah.
We're starting to see it now a little bit with SmackDown in the women's division. I'm starting to get the impression right now that there is a lot of really good talent and not enough opportunities for them, right?
Yeah, and that's yeah.
And it leads me to the same thing I talk about always.
Yeah.
That mid-card women's championship.
Bring it on.
Because Jade Cargill arrives. Charlotte Flair is back. Naomi's back. Maybe Sasha returns. There's a lot of people who will be fighting for the top prize. You don't want the Io Skies and Dakota Kai, and you don't want these really, really good talent who are over to not have anything. So you got to have the women's mid-card belt, bro. You got to do it.
Especially with Jade Cargill coming in, who was AEW's mid-card champion and held it the way she did.
Oh, she ain't holding a mid-card championship in WWE.
No.
WWE going to have her in dripped in gold. Dripped in gold. They will not do that. But what I'm trying to say, though, is like Mia Yim, for example. Yeah, it's not that she can't be the women's world champion, but there's a bigger storyline in that picture.
Yeah.
You can still do right by her by giving her the women's TV championship, or who knows, maybe WWE signs with Warner Bros. And you got the TBS championship coming to well, actually no, because SmackDown is moving to USA, so
yeah,
Mia Yim has to get drafted to Raw and then she wins the TBS championship. I don't know, obviously I'm joking, but
oh my word,
but I'm just saying the women's championship is it's very crowded at this time.
And
oh, and I didn't mention Bianca Belair, which by the way, she already has the aura. She's already been a fantastic world champion, but
her turning heel is eventually going to happen. I feel like
I don't think they could do it.
I think they can. I think it's just as good as Bayley.
It's scary to think Bianca's
as good as Bayley.
She is her.
I get it. I do. But I think Vince was so scared to turn John Cena heel.
Yeah.
Vince, it was literally one thing that just instantly rubbed him wrong because he was so afraid. But imagine if and what he could have had, Vince, if John Cena were to turn heel. And it was almost because that was at a time where the anti-hero was the best.
Yeah.
John Cena could have possibly become what Stone Cold became in the anti-hero. So I kind of look at Bianca Belair, and I think with Triple H in his booking, it's tough to say turn, right? Because there is a lot of, I look at AJ Styles for a perfect example of like somebody who the tweener, right? Like goes one way, could completely lead off into another. I think, right, that you can do something along those lines with Bianca Belair and create something massive to where more people want to get behind her. Because what you're doing right now is you're playing into the child, right? With her. Let's be real. Would you agree with that? Give me something to take her more serious. Yeah,
you don't take her serious right now?
I take her serious in the extent of like she's a great professional. She's a great professional wrestler. Like she does all those things. But it's hard when a lot of her things and the things that she say feel forced. So I don't take her words serious.
I disagree off the rip.
Okay.
I disagree off the rip. I take her very serious because her body of work and the way she's been booked and presented to me takes her serious. If you asked me in the past, I would have been very happy with her joining the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley as a heel.
Yeah,
I felt like that could have been fun and cool to witness.
Right.
The thing is, from a business perspective, I don't think there's ever been a time in pro wrestling history, and maybe I'm wrong, but in my personal belief, I don't think there's ever been a time in professional wrestling where across both genders, there's this many top heels and top baby faces at once.
Yeah.
So with Bianca, I would not turn her heel. You could lean into it. And I feel like in some cases she already does, right? the way she was in the backstage segment tonight, she was a little bit sassy with Bailey and them. And now she has a match next week with Bailey. And obviously, we're starting to see the downfall of the damage control. And Bailey's probably going to lose. And there's a lot of things that they could do there. What I would say is you can have Bianca lean into it a little bit. I don't think you should ever turn her. And the reason why, and there's a very specific reason.
Okay.
Jade Cargill's going to come in. And naturally speaking, Jade Cargill's a great heel.
Yeah, I get that.
And what would be beneficial for WWE would be to have Bianca put over Jade.
Yeah.
And that's because Bianca's a massive babyface. You can do this with massive baby faces.
Right.
And you could do this with other baby faces that they have, but Bianca's the one in my eyes.
And they're about to bring, and I think I stand with your opinion on, they're about to bring Jade in as one of the biggest superstars that the women have ever seen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, a fair point that I did want to bring up, Kervin Abreu says, yeah, but if you turn somebody heel, the person cannot lose matches like Nakamura and Drew McIntyre. So this is a interesting point. I feel like right now it is too early to say with Drew McIntyre because we don't know Drew McIntyre's situation if he resigns or doesn't resign.
And it goes back to what you said earlier, that everything that we're watching on TV has a purpose.
And I feel like we're still waiting for a lot of things to play out too.
Right, exactly. Because the whole Drew thing, I don't know if that's completely played out yet. Is that?
I don't think so.
Yeah, like I feel like, again, we talk about Triple H. There is a bigger picture. I feel like
everything
there is a bigger picture. I will agree with that. And I think as WWE fans, right, we all became accustomed to a very short-term payoff.
100%. We don't get that anymore.
No. And now I think what's happening, and I may wander off here, but I just want to make a good point, is that we're now becoming accustomed to the long term, but some people aren't fully accustomed to it. So it's making them upset with the WWE because they're not getting that automatic payoff. They're not getting that instant gratification.
It doesn't show in the business.
Right, exactly. So when
it's got to be a very very small opinion based on such a large audience. But yes, I see. Really quick, I want you to finish your point, Justin. I saw your super chat, and I promise you, I will get to it. There was something I want to talk about specifically with that, but I needed to wait.
Okay. But yeah, no. My whole point to this is that it is a very small, minuscule, audience that I am speaking to.
Yeah.
But I think it makes up a lot of the fandom of wrestling, if that makes sense. Like the reason why we watch. And I think it's fair to say I'd consider myself somewhat of a hardcore wrestling fan, right? And I just feel like people become accustomed to one way. They get used to it. They want the instant gratification, blah, blah, blah. They don't get it, and that upsets them. So with Triple H, everything has there's a story to the end of it. And there's a payoff at the end.
You ever watch the show Black Mirror on Netflix?
I have.
Okay. So like every episode differs from each other.
Yeah, that was the coolest part about Black Mirror.
See, for Black Mirror, it's fantastic, right? Because it's like the same show, but they're all like different shows inside of a show, right?
Yeah.
What I love about wrestling live 52 weeks a year, and this is probably the big reason why I'm a Triple H fan, is because I'm conditioning myself to just keep watching and enjoying for what it is.
Right.
And so wrestling fans, hardcore wrestling fans specifically, they're looking for, like, WWE still gives you the payoffs to stuff, but then it evolves into something so much more.
Right.
And I love the fact that with Bianca, like what I'm saying is I don't think she'll ever turn heel, right? But with the way that they do storytelling and the way that they evolve stories is I'm going to go from never thinking she's turning heel to a point where maybe she finally does it. And it makes up for something so much better for me long term. Whether that happens in 2024 or 2025, 2026, I don't know. But what I'm saying is everything happens for a reason, and it literally changes the way I view WWE and the way I view wrestling. Yeah. Because every single episode is interconnected. Something that happened this week usually has a meaning for something that happens next week and whatever. Right. I did want to mention too, because we were talking about the little things that matter. Yeah. And it doesn't have to do with the women's division, but it's something I've noticed a little bit, and I don't feel like I pay enough attention to this. And I'm going to assume that you don't either.
Right.
When Pete Dunne, I'm going to keep calling him Pete Dunne, okay?
Until we get the name back.
Until we get the name back, I'm calling him Pete Dunne.
Pete Dunne, baby.
Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate win their match against Pretty Deadly. Tyler Bate, does it. I found something interesting with Corey Graves talking about Pete Dunne having a identity crisis.
Yeah. All right.
Now, obviously, we want the name to come back.
Yeah.
Maybe it's wishful thinking. I don't know. But I think it's interesting to me that they mentioned it.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting to me that they mentioned it.
Right.
I don't know how else to explain it. It's the little things that matter. And I think, even commentary you got to pay attention to. They're giving you clues and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give me a second.
No,
I think you know what I'm looking for.
I am.
We ain't gonna say anything.
I'm looking for the same thing.
It ain't happening.
No, there's no way. No, I'm not seeing anything.
For those who don't know what we're referencing, Triple H took a picture with a guy from Nickelback. I just had to double check with my eyes and make sure that was real.
Yeah, no, it was, dude. It was.
It was real. Triple H tweeted it.
Yeah, no. Photograph.
Hold on. TJ Punk. And then I promise, Justin, I'll get to your super chat in a second. TJ Punk says, did you see the exclusive backstage with B-Fab and Bobby? No, but that was literally something we were talking about. So
that was a whole conversation.
We literally had a conversation. I said one of the yes.
No. Yeah, they did.
I'm watching it right now. Hold on.
All right. So
all right.
While he's watching this, we had a whole full-blown conversation on B-Fab possibly joining the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley and how it could possibly make sense. And we kind of talked about how it could just be an easy transition into it. How does it look? How does it look? Hit us with the facts, Ango. Hit us with the facts, Ango. I need to hear them. I don't know what's going on.
Brother. It's the simplest things in life.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Exclusively posted on Twitter from WWE. I can't share it, obviously, due to copyright. But B-Fab confronts the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley and tries to get them, like on board and like tries to get them, back mentally because they obviously got attacked by Karrion Kross. The simple things.
It's the simple things.
See, guys, my complaint tonight was that WWE didn't follow up with it. Now, of course, I prefer that it happens on TV, but this is a digital exclusive, which obviously will be addressed on TV.
And it's making social media feel important.
I went from thinking that WWE forgot about this to now WWE offering some logic. So when it happens on TV, they will revisit this and then it will make sense for me. And that, my friends, is why it's very hard for me to criticize WWE because literally I'm watching in real time my biggest complaints be addressed every week.
And that's why WWE is working right now. And you can't tell me that they're not.
It is. I mean, it's obvious.
But... Right. They're working very well.
Chat, I want to see you guys go off. Drop your questions, super chats, all that good stuff. We got one super chat that I need to address.
Yes.
Justin Kennington brought this up. And we didn't actually talk about this. We talked about the Fatal 4-Way, Billy.
But we didn't talk about this in particular.
So let's book the finish. Let's have some fun.
All right, dude, let's do it.
This is not, let me preface this by saying this is not a Royal Rumble prediction show, and I'm sure we'll do one, and it'll be really fun and cool.
Yes.
And maybe our predictions will change. But as of tonight, just watching this, how do you book the Fatal 4-Way match, and who eats the pin? The floor is yours, Billy. The floor is yours.
You're putting me on a high stand right now.
Oh, you can do it, buddy.
Oh, I got this. So, if I'm going to be honest, and everybody's going to dislike me for this, and I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. But I just think with you take WrestleMania into a factor, you take the story that's being told right now. There's only one person who can take this pin, and it's LA Knight. I know. I get it. It should not be LA Knight. But with the potential of the WWE draft and LA Knight eventually moving over to Raw, I think the only person logically that makes sense to take the pinfall is LA Knight. Now, you can argue the fact that AJ Styles, if you know anything about the actual story and how TNA told it with AJ Styles, that you can argue AJ Styles can take this pin. I just don't think, because eventually in TNA, now obviously WWE is going to tell it in their own way and they're going to switch things up. But looking back on history, right? AJ Styles, logically, he ends up winning the TNA World Championship as the Lone Wolf character. So right now, in my eyes, the only person, in my eyes, my humble opinion, that makes sense, after knowing what I know, is LA Knight. There's not another soul. And I'm so sorry, and I know. I get it. And it hurts. I don't want to say it. Ango. I need to know your thoughts on who's eating this pin in the Fatal 4-Way, because that hurt to say.
Knowing wrestling so well,
yeah,
I would agree with you.
But Ango's about to tell us that Solo's about to eat the pin.
No, he's not even in the match.
I know.
Gosh, you think I'm stupid?
No.
Knowing wrestling and wrestling history and the way that it gets booked and predictability, yes, LA Knight gets pinned. I would like to propose a different idea.
Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that.
I would like to propose the idea of Randy Orton eating the pin.
Okay, all right.
And the only reason why, and this could be an interesting take. It could be mid, maybe.
Okay.
What if you have LA Knight take AJ Styles out of the ring?
Okay.
He hits the BFT, the blunt force trauma. He gets AJ out of the ring. He hits it on Roman Reigns. And just as, because you know Roman Reigns matches, they're all the same shit. He hits it on Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is out for a minute, whatever. Randy and LA Knight start fighting. LA Knight hits an RKO, or I'm sorry, Randy Orton hits an RKO on LA Knight. As soon as he hits it, Roman Reigns gets up and spears Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Randy eats the pin. But at the same time, too, you have Randy Orton get a one-on-one shot or ask for a one-on-one shot for an episode of Smackdown.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
Nick Aldis eventually screws Randy Orton.
And that's how we get to the WrestleMania match with Randy Orton and Nick Aldis.
Yes.
That's
the singles
like
match.
That. Yes, I like that. I do. I'm not against it, but I think I have to stand with the idea that LA Knight is the person who does take this pin, because eventually you will get Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes, and that's going to be a story. And it's going to remind me a lot of John Cena and Randy Orton. And it's going to be that kind of a good story that they're going to tell. Let's be real here. They're going to play into legacy. They're going to play into the dads. They're going to do it all. I'm here for it all. I want to say that what you're saying is a great idea. And yeah. I genuinely do. I just think they take a different route with Randy Orton and Nick Aldis. I don't think you need to have Randy take the pin to still eventually get to that. I think the two RKOs or whatever, the one RKO and then the what was it, $100,000?
Yeah,
I think that they
planted seeds.
Right,
everything happens for a reason.
Right, exactly. So they planted those seeds already for Randy Orton to eventually challenge Nick Aldis, and I don't think that he needs to eat the pin, especially when Nick Aldis is out here making it a fatal 4-way match in the first place.
So what if you don't do a random match on SmackDown? Let's take that out of the equation for a second. What would your feelings be if LA Knight still takes the pin? Randy Orton's about to win. Randy Orton is so close, and Nick Aldis
screws him.
He screws him right then and there.
That I'm cool with.
Okay.
That I can get behind. That logically might happen.
I can see that.
I can see it too. Logically, that might happen. If you want to start this whole feud, like Nick's going to be like, hey, I remembered that.
My initial feeling with this is that you don't have to overcomplicate it, right?
No, you do not.
But how do you protect 4 individuals
That cannot
in this
lose.
match? You have to have something shady go down.
No, right. And I feel like that, the Nick Aldis thing, it kind of solidifies him as a bad guy too, right?
Nick Aldis is already pretty clear. I mean, not that he's necessarily a heel,
Well,
but
because when I see him go up for a guy like Ashante the Adonis,
yeah,
I sit there and I hear him talk like, oh, yes, you do deserve it. That doesn't really rub me off as a heel.
yeah.
But I do think like the signings and stuff like that are very heelish.
The way he's been acting with Adam Pearce and stuff too is very
heelish. Right, exactly. But I mean, it comes down to I do believe that this is going to be the right move, and to solidify him instantly as a heel. Oh, no better. There's no better person to screw than Randy Orton.
So what's cool with the Fatal 4-Way, by the way, is there's no DQs.
Right.
So how can they go about this? By protecting LA Knight's momentum. And if LA Knight, because you can actually do something where, which I like with the AJ Styles thing. AJ specifically attacked LA Knight.
Yes.
That could be a singles match for Elimination Chamber, which I like.
You instantly get something out of that.
You do. I like the idea of LA Knight being super close to winning. I like this idea. LA Knight looks like he's about to win. Have him really look like he's going to win.
Especially because he almost won the last time and it was the foot on the rope.
Yes. You can have LA Knight get really, really close. And you can have LA Knight take out AJ.
Yep.
And make it look like he's about to pin AJ. AJ gets saved because of Roman Reigns, desperate to retain the belt. He interrupts the pin somehow, right?
Yes.
LA Knight is pissed. He thought he had it. The crowd is crazy at this point.
Yep.
And then you could do the infamous Randy Orton hits the... You can actually do a really cool spot where Randy hits an RKO on LA Knight. It gets out of the match, right? He was so close to winning. He gets hit with the thing. And then you can have Roman go for a spear on Randy Orton. Randy Orton counters it with an RKO.
Yep.
About to win. Nick Aldis pulls him out of the ring, grabs his legs.
Yep.
And then you can do the typical thing where Solo Sikoa hits a spike on Randy Orton and Roman pins Randy. And then the cool thing is with Randy getting pinned after being so close to winning, because you already made LA Knight look good, but you have Roman pinning Randy Orton. Randy Orton's mad at Roman, but he's also even 10 times madder he's more upset with Nick Aldis because he's the one he signed with.
Yes.
And then this is going to be overbooked, by the way. My fantasy booking sounds overbooked. This match is going to be overbooked.
This is going to go over the top. I'm going to mention Kevin Abreu over in the comment section. He said, I hope this match doesn't kill LA's momentum.
It doesn't.
No. And I'm here to tell you why, because what you just said, right, with the false finish of he's coming so close, and then me mentioning him getting really close. Do you want to know what that's doing? That's eventually teasing the move over to Raw and solidifying him for that World Heavyweight Championship even more.
Yeah. I like it. I like it a lot. And you know, the cool thing is here, we'll see what happens with Kevin Owens, because we didn't talk about this either, but Kevin Owens, obviously #1 contender for Logan Paul.
Yep.
Logan Paul, he's going to cheat. He's going to win at Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
So the cool thing is Logan Paul's going to need a championship match at WrestleMania.
And who better than Mr. LA Knight himself?
Yes. And I do predict at that point, it depends on when the draft is, right? But if you do the draft and LA Knight wins the U.S. championship, that's how you get him to Raw. Adam Pearce wants the U.S. title.
Yep. And
because LA
eventually Gunther is in your conspiracy here.
Because of Cody and Gunther.
Yep. Okay. That makes sense. Wow. Did we just wipe this shit up, dude?
Dog, I'm telling you right now, this is like, y'all, if y'all think I say some crazy shit, just understand there's rhyme and reason for it, and there's always ways to make it work.
We started a whole conversation an hour and 50 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And led back to the point that was made in the first place. This is impressive.
It is, man. It's fun. But that's the cool thing about the fantasy booking stuff is if you could really tie it in together, it works. So this thing, really what's cool too is because it goes back to what I was saying about LA Knight and AJ, right?
Yeah.
AJ attacked LA Knight. They're going to have a singles match.
Absolutely. Like you said, Elimination Chamber makes a lot of sense.
And what's cool about that is LA Knight could actually beat AJ Styles.
Yep, because
And that actually starts AJ Styles' villain arc.
Yes,
right?
it solidifies the lone wolf character.
Yes. Then you have this Randy Orton and Nick Aldis stuff that you can work with. Then you have the Solo Sikoa constantly having Roman's back being the reason why, because he's going to hit the spike on Randy. Randy eats the pin, right?
Yep.
There's a lot of things that you can do, but what's really cool is when you get to the WWE draft and LA Knight moves to Raw, now we're talking about, okay, well, who's the guy that can beat CM Punk or Damian Priest or Seth Rollins, whoever it may be.
Yeah.
So that's a really cool thing. And I like the way this works too, because if you really, really want, by the way, I think it's naturally, it's a good thing to say this, in my opinion, but Logan Paul beats Kevin Owens and it's going to be a shitty finish for Kevin. Kevin's going to get screwed, obviously.
Yeah. I think
Logan Paul's not going to beat him because he's better than Kevin Owens. It's going to be, there's going to be something that happens, right?
Right.
But what I really love about this scenario is we haven't even talked about where Sammy goes in the draft and Kevin Owens and maybe reuniting them in the tag division. And there's a lot of things you can do long term.
It is crazy under the Triple H regime.
Yeah.
The endless, because at one point it felt like the WWE was just stacked, right? They just had a good roster.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything with this good roster. There were some good stories here and there, but nothing like now.
It's everything is so good, man.
Yes.
It's crazy. I mean,
it really is.
We know we've had these conversations of like, damn, bro, like just some of this stuff is like, but now in the last year and a half, I would say things really changed.
Absolutely.
I love this comment too, because Chester says if Nick Aldis goes full time as a wrestler against Orton, who do you still keep him? Do you still keep him as a GM or do you bring in Regal? And I think you can absolutely bring in William Regal.
I think that's the guy.
And what's cool about that, right, is Nick Aldis, by the way, he has a run where he actually beats Randy Orton. Randy Orton's going to be here for 10 more years. He can afford a big singles loss against Nick Aldis.
And to put over another talent, a new talent. And
then what are you doing? You're constantly keeping a flow of where talent are getting looked at in a much more positive light because of the stories that are told and then the wins that follow. Absolutely. I think we are up for a very eventful year when it comes to WrestleMania season.
So do I.
And dude, it's so cool because we didn't even talk about this LWO stuff, and I really did want to talk about this too.
Yeah.
I did see some people in the chat today say, well, where was Andrade?
Yep.
And I just want to reiterate to people, Charlotte Flair just had her surgery yesterday. Based on what I saw on social media from them, it looked like Andrade was with her in, I think it's Alabama, I think is where it's at.
Yeah, it's definitely in Alabama. That's where the doctor is for the WWE.
So if we're going off of this, right, next week we have Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza versus Del Toro Cruz and Joaquin Wilde. And what's really cool about this is next week, which this just goes to show you how much cool shit could happen on TV, and it doesn't have to happen.
I know. I know.
It's just so strange, obviously, and you're adding the fantasy booking element, but now you got to factor in the potential, heels beat up the baby faces next week, right? And then you have Andrade come out and go face to face with Santos. And so you have Andrade inserting himself in a big feud, and then
he kind of takes over for Rey Mysterio in that aspect,
for sure,
while Rey's gone.
And then what's really cool about that though is like when we talk about world champions, right? Yeah. There's a lot of different ways that they can go, but you can also, for example, Andrade, Malachi Black, Miro, some guys who were in WWE, went to AEW, wasn't necessarily booked well, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to bring them to WWE. You don't have to bring them to WWE and put them in a massive championship storyline, but you could put them in a massive mid-card feud, which is something I feel like WWE lately has been really good about this. I would say since last year's WrestleMania, right?
Yeah.
Big feuds that don't involve championship belts. So when I look into SmackDown next week and I see that it's stacked, and then I watch this week, I get excited about that. Like, I know it sounds crazy to a lot of people, but watching B-Fab on this digital exclusive going up to the Lashley and Profits thing, the reason why that excites me is because the old regime wouldn't have reminded me of these things. They usually drop things, they weren't consistent.
Right.
Now I'm intrigued because with LWO and stuff, you got to think of Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega and Andrade were a very big piece to the puzzle back in the day. Will WWE acknowledge that? Do they not acknowledge it? There's a lot of things that you can do. And there was 2 things I want to put up from Mike. And I love this too, because this is also true.
Yeah.
There's always room for improvement, but that one we'll get to. But Mike says grudge matches. Wrestlers have become way too friendly with each other. We need more animosity backstage. So WWE does a good job with backstage segments and stuff and people crossing paths. But I do believe this could actually be a really good thing in the background of segments where it's like Andrade coming in as a babyface, right? Yeah. You can have him backstage talking amongst other wrestlers, and then that could lead to something later on. There's a lot of things you can do. But it's fascinating to see that like next week's episode is stacked.
I mean, stacked to the brim.
And it's just a regular Smackdown.
It's crazy. It's insane. You're getting Bianca and Bailey on a random Smackdown.
You know what's funny?
Huh?
And this was a big praise that I had for AEW, that sometimes they'll do TV matches that could be like really
Main
big
event.
pay-per-view main event stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm happy that WWE, sometimes TV kind of feels like an NXT takeover in the sense of the type of matches that they're booking and the type of stuff they're doing. Not always, not 100% to the T, but like, you know, when I watch, for example, this triple threat match tonight, that's a pay-per-view level match.
Absolutely.
That's a main event pay-per-view match.
That's for a championship.
And this is just a regular triple threat.
Right.
So if WWE could tie up the loose ends with like some backstage segments and stuff, just in the background, like they were for a minute, I think WWE will be unstoppable, man.
I think so too. I think they could be hotter than they've been.
So crazy, man. Listen, guys, there's going to be a lot of people on the internet that tell you WWE or AEW are bad, but they'll also tell you whether it's good or bad. But I think the biggest thing for me is from like a viewing experience, honestly, it's that I feel like right now wrestling has gotten to the point where I'm going to tell you why I think it's bad and why I think it's good and what you could do differently
to make it better.
Make it better. Fuck, Billy, let me ask you, because this is another thing too.
Yeah.
Earlier in the stream, I was like, oh, it would be really cool if Karrion and AOP like attack people backstage and stuff, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? And I know this sounds fucking crazy, but what would your thoughts be if WWE launched another show that was like for Peacock? And I don't want to, because they have main event.
Right.
But I kind of feel like WWE is at a point where their rosters are stacked.
Yeah, to the brim.
Clearly.
Right.
They're stacked like crazy. But there's also so much storylines and so much stuff happening that like maybe they could benefit from having another 1-hour show that's like pre-taped.
Yeah, I mean, there's always that chance. And like you said on Peacock, it doesn't. I think
basically like a WWE main event, but like follows up with the stories.
I've talked about it a lot on this channel, and the idea of aura surrounding something, and I feel like the same can go for main event, right? There's always kind of been that aura, in the 80s it was fine, but now looking at it, it's just like, oh, it's like it's all the dark matches, right? But I think if you were to rename it and brand it differently, right? And you brand it in the sense of, hey, this is you're all that the 3 hours you watched of Raw, the 2 hours of NXT, or we'll say the 3 hours of Raw and the 2 hours of Friday Night SmackDown, right? That you watched this week, there is going to be some culmination on a Saturday night, blah blah blah, whatever. So Billy, do I think they benefit from it? Yeah,
I think I'm going to just say it.
I collected my thoughts for 30 seconds after listening to you talk, and I think WWE main event's cool because they're using NXT guys to like work with some main roster people in front of the crowd, which is cool. And that's on Hulu. I would really love to see WWE bring back Velocity and Heat.
Yeah.
And I want pay-per-views. I want pay-per-views back on Sundays.
Can we please bring pay-per-views back to Sunday?
I need it bad, bro.
Yeah.
I'd be so happy.
Because those made my Sundays.
Which I'll tell you guys off the rip, 100% to a T. I'll tell you guys 1,000,000%. I hate pay-per-views on Saturdays.
I hate them too.
I hate them on Saturdays, especially when there's UFC or boxing. I hate it.
It was always great to have them on Sundays because you had that feeling and that sense of like, oh, most people do have that day off from their regular job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most people have that day off. Most kids are home from school. You know, it was just that feeling of like, I could order some pizza. I could sit in my bed. I don't have to be bothered by anybody. And guess what I get? I get to watch 4 hours of my favorite professional wrestling. And I don't have to be bugged.
I remember a time, bro, where me and my brother, we would watch WWE Velocity Saturday. We'd go visit my pops or whatever, and our friends. We'd go sit outside and put the TV, move it to the window.
Yeah.
And we would just watch Velocity together. And we did that outside because it would be like nice weather and we would have drinks or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Juice and soda and chips or whatever.
Right.
But I remember watching it and it was so funny because back in the day you're like young, you don't really care, like you're just kind of like living like carefree in a sense, you know, just enjoying wrestling with your boys.
Yeah.
And then it's so funny because when I got older, obviously you replace the juice boxes and the juice and the soda or whatever, you replace that with, you know, Hennessy and a Corona or Heineken or something
whatever
like that.
The case is.
You grab some wings and stuff like that. And the thing for me is obviously I cover wrestling for a living. I talk about wrestling for a living. I do miss that element of being able to watch wrestling with my friends during pay-per-views like I used to.
Yeah.
So if pay-per-views come back on a Sunday, the cool thing is I can hang out with my boys on a Saturday, then watch wrestling on Sunday by myself or watch it with them and then just go live. Like I'm opening up time to do me time. I don't know. I'm being selfish, but
no, I know what you mean though. And I know exactly what you're saying. Like I definitely feel like just the Sunday makes sense. I mean, it's almost that sense of like I know for me, you know, being the age that I am, there's that sense of like nostalgia, right? I can appreciate nostalgia.
But it's a different kind of nostalgia, Billy, because the thing is, you got to remember too, like Velocity actually had purpose, and Sunday Night Heat obviously had purpose.
Yes.
Like the guys that couldn't get on SmackDown or that were maybe they had some stories on SmackDown, they would carry to Velocity. It wasn't always just like wrestle. Like in a sense, obviously I was a kid watching it, but in real time, it was like, I'm going to watch these cruiserweights on Velocity. You might see them on SmackDown, but I'm going to watch them on Velocity because it's like I knew like
what you were getting.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It wasn't like this high expectation. I think in 2024, 1 hour show on Saturday, 1 hour show on Sundays. And the cool thing is, man, the CW wants live sports. They want live wrestling. I feel like even if it's not a crazy amount of money, it's just extra content and they pre-tape it, right? Yeah. Velocity. I wouldn't call it Velocity. I wouldn't call it Heat, but you know, especially with pay-per-views, right? It's a 1 hour lead in. Forget about kickoff shows. Your kickoff show is your Sunday Night Heat. You know, obviously.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Though.
You intertwine them with the way Peacock is.
Right.
So you do it on TV or you do it on Peacock. However, you know, I'm sure there's logistic issues with it too, but I definitely don't want WWE having another 1 hour or 2 hour show Monday through Friday, though. I will say that.
That's fair.
Let me ask you while we're on the topic, TV deals stuff. We don't know what's going to happen, but SmackDown's moving to USA.
Yep.
I said this myself. I think I told you Monday's Raw, Tuesday SmackDown, Wednesday's NXT.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
I can appreciate that. Let's knock it out. Let's get it all out the way.
Justin Kennington dropped another super chat for $2. He says, it looks like WWE is using blood again. Thoughts? Yeah, LA Knight was bloodied up.
Yep. I mean, I texted you that, didn't I?
Did you?
I think I did.
My phone's been on Do Not Disturb.
So is mine, but I'm pretty sure I texted you during SmackDown in the main event. I said, yo, this guy's bleeding.
We're gonna see. I'm gonna fact check you.
Yeah, go ahead. Something along those lines. I know I mentioned LA Knight blood.
Very fun episode, dog! Exclamation point. Hey Billy, I am going to send you the link for the stream at 9:45 ish.
It was during the stream, guys. That's where I
Okay,
said it.
bet.
It was during.
Wow, bro. Next week's SmackDown is stacked. Oh yes, I seen LWO versus Carrillo and Garza. Wow, fire! I think that's when we get Andrade. That's what I think too, Ingo. By the way, Billy, I sent you a link.
Hold on,
Billy's
I'm gonna fact check you. There's no way I said Ango.
No, you didn't. I added that part. Fun stuff.
Yeah.
But no, you didn't tell me about the blood, or you didn't bring it up to me. But it is cool. I will say it is cool seeing WWE have blood. What I will tell you guys, though, it's in my opinion, will always stay the same. You guys can disagree, agree if you want. Blood in a match, which I don't think LA Knight did a blade job, but blood in a match for me personally speaking, I don't need it. I don't need it in AEW. I don't need it in WWE. I actually don't think the blood added to LA Knight like in this match. Like I don't think it added like anything to it. But that's because it's a fatal 4-way match, right? Like it's whatever. Now, if all 4 guys were bloody, it's probably a different story. I think blood in wrestling, to be honest, is not necessarily needed. But if it's like a Hell in a Cell match, or in the case of like AEW doing
it's only under certain circumstances do you think it's appropriate.
Yeah. What I will say, though, it is interesting that WWE is showing blood, because for a minute they were just going black and white on the screen. So who knows? This happened with Becky Lynch, and they embraced it on Monday, and now tonight LA Knight got bloody.
It looks like there's a chance that they are going to go towards it a little bit and kind of let it happen. And
what? My bad. I'm asking you because honestly, I swear I don't remember. Did AJ Styles cause the bleed for LA Knight?
I think so. Yeah.
Ooh, so maybe that was some references to the little details. I don't know, but it's interesting though for sure.
Yeah, I mean, for me though, I like it. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I think do I think it was the end all be all to the match tonight? Absolutely not. But
no, not at all.
I like
it didn't add any value.
No, but do I like it? Yeah, I do. I can appreciate a little bit of redness on my TV.
You appreciate a little redness on the TV? What's wrong with you?
I like blood. Sorry, I'm just being honest. But I will say this, right? At the end of the day, one thing that I think needs to happen here very soon, and we talked about it on the beginning of the stream, and I'm going to talk about it one last time here. And I stand by this. The story is going to be finished at WrestleMania 40. The Rock and Roman will be taking place at the Elimination Chamber in Australia. And one thing that I really want to mention to everybody, and this is one thing that I know we've talked about it already, but I really want to stress this, that no matter where Rock and Roman takes place, right? It does not matter if it is on Mars. The same amount of people are going to show up. And I get the argument that it makes WrestleMania 40 feel less, but imagine how big it makes Cody Rhodes look if he wins. So I really want to stress it upon everybody that Rock and Roman will be taking place at the Elimination Chamber, and Cody Rhodes will be finishing his story on night 2 of WrestleMania in what will go down as the biggest WrestleMania main event of all time. Ango, would you agree with me if I said something along these lines?
100%. I've been saying it all year. I'll keep saying it. Cody's finishing the story. I know I know we're not stupid guys. I know that Rock and Roman's a big match, but that's what makes Elimination Chamber a must-see event in a stadium filled with 60,000 fans. And I think Australia deserves it, right? They deserve a marquee match like that. And the cool thing is it just furthers and makes the Cody win so much more meaningful. And I think, how was it watching Cody with his daughter and Brandy and his family, and he kisses them and hugs them before the match, and knowing he's going to lose, and
the way he lost and the visual of him sitting on the ring just in like despair, and Roman and the Wise Man and the Usos are all celebrating, right? You know, I find it fascinating that when that happened, it was like, this is what it's all about. This is what storytelling is. And I knew when that moment when they had that visual, I literally remember talking about it on YouTube and being like, guys, it is going to lead to some incredible video packages for WrestleMania 40. And WWE needs to start getting credit, because even tonight, a triple threat match for a number one contender to face Roman Reigns had a video package for LA Knight. And all these video packages, man, they are so hype. They are so lit. They make me so excited at these potential matchups and stories that I've literally gotten to the point where it's like, these again are the small things that truly make things better. And it makes the product better. When Cody goes up against Roman this year, and I hope and I pray and hope that WWE has The Rock involved in some sort of interaction with Cody, because it will further Cody's journey to the title again. And the cool thing is, Cody should be very close to winning the Rumble, and he should lose. And then you got to factor in Elimination Chamber. Cody at a huge disadvantage, right? And I feel like what's even better is when Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso get involved in the Elimination Chamber match to stop Cody, and Cody still wins. It's going to show you how much more important it is that Cody gets to finish the story. It's going to make everything so much better in the end. And that's why it's the biggest match. And that's why people will be happy.
Can I give another why? Another why that I want to discuss, right?
Mhm.
And one, I want to talk about the people who have said Cody's story can end in failure. And I want to tell them why I disagree. The reason why Cody's story cannot end in failure is because the time that we've put into Cody. Imagine Stone Cold's story ending in failure. Wrestling probably wouldn't be as big as it is right now, right? Would you agree?
Yeah.
John Cena winning the title 16 times, tying Ric Flair's record. Imagine if John Cena failed. Wrestling wouldn't be as big as it is today. Would you agree?
Agreed.
Roman comes out, wins the Universal title at Payback. If that moment doesn't happen in WWE, we do not end up where we are now. Cody needs to win here. And the reason why it cannot end in failure is strictly because of the moment that you create. It sets a time and a precedent in the WWE. It is a factor. It's important to move wrestling forward. That is why Cody must finish his story, and it cannot end in failure.
There's a thing I'd like to add to that too, that's not getting discussed as much, but we always talk, wrestling fans as a whole, general statement, but wrestling fans always talked about like, who is the next John Cena?
Yeah.
They did it with Cody.
Yeah.
Cody is
Yeah,
the
he
new
is.
John Cena.
He
The
is.
suits, the kids, the Make-A-Wish, and the wrestling club that I see on Twitter all the time. You know, they have this thing with like a school, and they're doing like they're selling popcorn. What is it called? Like they're selling popcorn for a chance to.
They're trying to get to WrestleMania.
Yeah, Cody Rhodes being the ultimate babyface and says, "No, I'm going to pay for you guys." Like, Cody is the guy. He's the ultimate babyface. And again, we're at a time. We watched Raw. We saw Jey Uso's reactions.
Mm-hmm.
We see Sami Zayn's reactions. We've seen all of these guys getting reactions. LA Knight. There's so much talent in WWE who are all legitimate top stars. And they're all fantastic and they're all incredible. And trust me, there's no shortage of great talent right now. But the beauty is Cody's the one who stands out as the guy. And he stands out as the guy, as the ultimate baby face. And Roman Reigns truly stands out as the final boss.
Yeah.
And there's something so incredibly awesome about that. And I find it to be what a problem to have. Where literally at this
Yeah.
day and age, if somebody got injured or whatever it may be, you have people ready to step up. That wasn't always the case with WWE. And I think when I look at Cody and just everything you just said with Cody, it's like the reason why I've been saying this for over a year is because it was true. Cody facing adversity was the right decision. Wrestling fans would have you believed that Sammy should have won the title. Wrestling fans on Twitter would have had you believe that Drew McIntyre should have won the title. A lot of wrestling fans in the IWC should have told you, or they would have told you that Roman should have dropped it a long time ago. But in reality, while Roman was being a dickhead to everybody and screwing everybody and cheating all the time, you had Cody building up his value. And now that value is priceless. WWE is going to re-sign Cody for a shit ton of money, but the beauty of it, it comes with a lot of money, but it comes with the territory of waving the company flag, and Cody will do that.
Yep, he's the guy.
Billy.
Yes, sir.
Once Cody finishes the story, then what?
Well, we talked about that a lot tonight, didn't we? There's a lot of then what's.
That's the beauty of wrestling. We could actually think this far.
Yeah.
But let me ask you, because I told you earlier Cody having a short reign. So the reason why I brought this comment up,
shout out Scripps.
It's a concept that I've talked about before on my channel. And I'm 50-50 on this.
Okay.
50-50 on this. Very 50-50 on this. It's not something that I truly support, but I can see WWE trying to recreate the magic between The Rock and Stone Cold. Do you think WWE would do that with Roman Reigns, or would you agree with me when I say Roman Reigns, like I said in our last time we talked, I said Roman Reigns drops the title and pretty much goes away? Would you rather see Reigns going back and forth with Cody? Or do you think WWE's at the point where they don't need to do that?
They don't need to do that anymore. I kind of stand by that statement too. Roman's done so much for the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we kind of get lost in the story, right? Okay. But not realizing that this guy has taken this belt to ESPN, to all the major outlets, you know what I mean? And waved that company flag. Truth be told, he did. He waved the company flag.
Yeah.
Roman has a past of medical that has been well documented on WWE TV. I think it's okay for Roman to step away. Now, when there is a person, right, who will eventually grow like Solo, right? There will be a time for Roman to return to the ring. And there will be a time for him to lose once again. But this time to the bloodline. This time to the next in line. And the next in line in that family is Solo. So, I think okay.
I think they get the ball rolling on that before WrestleMania. Because when Solo doesn't help Roman, it kind of justifies why Roman lost as well.
Right.
It doesn't have to be overbooked mess or whatever.
No.
And I hope that WWE doesn't do that. I think it could actually be really cool if William Regal comes in as like the babyface GM. That match has no outside interference whatsoever.
Yeah, no.
Like he makes that clear.
Fine. Yeah.
Like that could be really cool. A lot of cool things, man.
I agree.
Before we get off, guys, if you have any last minute super chats, go ahead and drop them. I did want to bring up something to Billy.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity.
Okay.
We go into Royal Rumble.
Okay.
I see a lot of rumors, a lot of stuff about WWE partnerships. I see a lot of cross promotion.
And I just out of fairness and respect to our chat tonight, I've seen a couple people ask us who they think will be in the Royal Rumble. Surprises.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want you to give me all of your answers.
Okay.
Because I feel like this is a discussion that could go really in depth with fantasy.
Right. We could go down the rabbit hole here.
But I want you, because it's something I've seen a couple times in chat. I have my answer that I'll give, but I would love to hear your answer. A talent who is not contracted to WWE and does not work for AEW, because the chance that AEW and WWE will do a talent exchange is 0%. 0.1%.
0.1.
I'm saying there's a chance, but like there's not a chance, right? Who is one talent? It could be New Japan, it could be All Japan, it could be TNA, it could be NWA. Who is one talent that you believe could very well be a surprise in the Royal Rumble this year?
It couldn't be who I thought it was.
Which was who?
It was Okada.
Well, why can't it be Okada?
Because his contract is not up completely until the end of January.
They don't have to be a free agent. They just can't be signed to AEW.
Okay, then yeah, Okada. That would have been my go-to pick. I would love to see Okada in the WWE. Call me crazy, I would.
Yeah.
That's fantasy booking to whatever.
Yeah.
But I do think there's always that chance that Okada could come to the WWE, and I think there's always that chance he could go to AEW too. Who would you like to see?
Just so you know, I think Okada re-signs with New Japan.
So do I. I don't think he's finished there.
I don't think he comes to AEW. I don't think he comes to WWE. But I got to be realistic with my answers.
Yeah.
Matt Cardona.
That's a fair answer. That is so fair.
I just want to throw that out there.
We're doing the awesome truth. Cody Rhodes is running the show. Why not?
Cardona.
Do you think he comes out as Matt Cardona or Zack Ryder?
I think he comes out with the Zack Ryder music and the entrance gear, and then he takes it all off and he's Matt Cardona. It shows up on the Titantron as Matt Cardona. Miro TV says that's a safe answer. So since he believes that's a safe answer, then let's spice it up a little bit, because I said I don't want to spend too much time on this because this is going to be a video. Just so you guys know, there is going to be a video discussing this. But since Matt Cardona is the safe answer, and again, I was trying to be realistic, let's go a little bit into TNA Impact, and let's just think for a second what you can do with TNA. In the women's match, the women's Royal Rumble,
Naomi.
Well, Naomi's already going to be in WWE. So I don't want to say Naomi because that's also the safe answer, right?
Yeah.
But if you go into the women's match and look at the TNA roster, I think WWE could very well bring in somebody like Jordynne Grace. WWE has had interest in her before. She came back to TNA. There's rumors of WWE and TNA potentially working together. You bring in Jordynne Grace, that could be a really cool thing.
Yeah.
Shout out to David Decker. He said my answer, Josh Alexander.
Yeah, that's who I was going to say. That was going to be my next answer, was Josh Alexander. He fits.
Yes. But also, there's a reason why I said Josh Alexander.
Why?
My prediction, it was like a fantasy booking video that I made on More Ango.
Yeah.
I was talking about NXT versus TNA and what a pay-per-view could look like. And just fantasy booking a match and stuff like that. And in that video, I was talking about Josh Alexander versus Chad Gable.
Yeah.
Which, guys, please, if you have not watched this video, it's on More Ango. I highly suggest you watch it.
The thumbnail will get you in itself.
Dude, I will say, sometimes, we talk wrestling and we fantasy book a lot. But when I put these like really like well-polished videos of me just like discussing in depth, I had a lot of love come from people saying, dude, this is actually realistic.
Yeah.
Like it was realistic.
Ed Gable and Josh Alexander, number one, makes for a great match.
100%. But it's realistic in the sense that like you're not going to put the rules to that thing was it can't be a main roster star that hasn't come from NXT or is currently visiting NXT.
Right.
So a lot of those matches were like upper mid-card talent. It's really dope. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys, but you should watch it. But the reason why I say Josh Alexander is because what's really cool, if hypothetically WWE enters a partnership with TNA, which again, we're just fantasy talk, right?
Yeah.
But if he ever came into the Royal Rumble, he obviously can't win the Royal Rumble. How
Right.
do you go about doing this partnership? You have Chad Gable eliminate him,
Yeah.
and then, you could kind of turn that into a story.
Yep. And it becomes now it's a story.
So just kind of fun.
I like that.
I see some people saying MJF. That's not realistic.
No. Get that out of your head.
That's not realistic. Moose.
That could be.
You never know.
Moose and Omos. I want to see it.
No. No. I don't think we see Forbidden Door entrance, by the way, in the Royal Rumble. But you never know. If WWE is really going to get into a partnership, I think they should, at least at the very minimum.
Chance.
I would love for them to bring somebody from. Actually, you know what? Before we get off the air, I'm going to read this. This got a lot of love too. Actually, I was kind of shocked because sometimes I think it's just sometimes when I fantasy book. Let me be pretty clear, guys. When I fantasy book, I talk about things that I would love. Okay. Sometimes many people will like it. Sometimes they won't. But this did hella views on Twitter, and it got a lot of love, and I got a lot of love privately and personally from this.
Okay.
But somebody specifically told me word for word, this is why I feel like you should write a wrestling TV show, which is so funny.
We talked about it. I stand by. There's a chance that you should.
No. I don't. Listen, I just want to read this to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I know one of you guys watching will hate on this, but let me explain. I said, if WWE can get Stardom's blessing, have Giulia debut at the Royal Rumble as a genuine shock. Now, in order for this to work, guys, Michael Cole has to be on commentary, hyping this up and making her a very big deal. At the same time, he needs to acknowledge that she is from Stardom and will be joining NXT later this year. Give her the same hype that you did with Jade Cargill, and naturally, just by being in the ring, she will win over the fans. But by doing this, it makes her Royal Rumble appearance even a bigger deal. Because imagine if Giulia comes to WWE.
Right.
She goes to the Royal Rumble, may or may not get the biggest pop. I don't know. It's hard to say. The Royal Rumble crowds are starting to get a little bit smarter, obviously. It's a lot more smarter fans.
They're expecting new things.
But you never know with WWE crowd. But the idea of this is you have her go into the Rumble and immediately throw some people out. Immediately take some people out. Let her do her strong style stuff. Let her get in her spots. Eventually somebody screws her over, eliminates her. You got to think, the next day after Royal Rumble, you're going to see WWE's video packages. They do this propaganda stuff all the time, right? They're going to put ESPN, oh my God, Giulia, all-star talent from Japan debuts in Royal Rumble. They do this with everything, right? They did it with CM Punk.
Right.
They did it tonight with LA Knight, breakout star of the year, right?
Yeah.
You do this. You acknowledge it on TV. You announce that they signed Giulia, and Giulia will be reporting to NXT. And then we just wait and see until she comes to NXT.
Right. Yeah, I like it.
I brought this up, though, and it is funny because I did get one hater, and he's like, well, she's in contract with Stardom until March. Guys, the first 6 words of the tweet says, if WWE can get Stardom's blessing, I have to bring that up. And then people are like, well, she should be on the main roster.
Yeah.
Just like Dragon Lee, she should go to NXT, learn WWE, she'll be ready. But this is cool because she can show people, again, bro, look at Mia Yim tonight.
Yeah, amazing.
She gained respect from the fans because of what they were doing in the ring alongside the match.
Right.
It's the showcase era of WWE.
Yep.
You showcase your talent, and this is cool. Honestly, I think she would actually get a pretty big pop too.
So do I.
In the event that she doesn't, I think by the time that she gets eliminated, she'll have won the fans over.
Right. Exactly.
And then WWE,
good showcasing.
The ESPN headlines and everything about Giulia debuting. And here's the thing: Bushiroad, the company that owns Stardom, they let Will Ospreay sign with AEW. They gave him his blessing.
Yep.
They already know she's leaving. They just said on their pay-per-view the other night that she's going to a major organization. Like, it's not really a thing. So I just kind of want to throw that out there. I see you guys in the chat are loving it too. I love it, man. I appreciate it. But you know what I love, Billy?
What's that?
I said today I was just very tired today.
Yeah, man, you did in the beginning of the stream.
Very tired.
Yeah.
But we just managed to have our longest stream yet.
Yes, we did.
And that's what happens when you have good conversation.
Yeah. And that's why I feel like everybody should come join us over here because that's what we're having.
I got to admit, guys, I'm looking at analytics and statistics and numbers for tonight. And I just want to say thank you. because this is fun, man. This is extremely fun for me to do. And I love having Billy on the show too, because we're not going to agree with everything. We're not going to see everything the same. Sometimes we will, but sometimes we won't. And it's fun having these conversations. And I love when I look at the chat and I see you guys engage. But also just seeing your guys' commitment tonight. It is almost 1 o'clock in the morning, and you guys have committed your night with us to watch.
A Friday night on top of that.
Yeah. You guys could have been watching AEW Rampage, but you chose to watch the better show. And for that reason, I greatly appreciate that. You guys are the GOATs, honestly.
You guys are awesome.
I just want to say live streaming is going to be a very big part of this channel. And I have a lot of projects and a lot of things that I'm working on. But can't do it on your own. These live shows, obviously, they require two to tango.
Yeah.
And so if you guys are not following Billy, I would appreciate it if you guys subscribe to his channel, youtube.com/@BillyTKO. It's great. It's great to be challenged. It's great to have conversation. And I appreciate you being here, buddy.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you having me on the show. Before we jump off, I want to say thank you to your community. They make me feel very welcomed here. They are awesome. Every single one of them. I mean, and all the people that have came and subscribed over on my channel, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. You guys are slowly, one by one, changing my life, which means the absolute world to me. And you guys are doing everything. You're making a little kid's dream come true, which is awesome. So, and I also have to mention, Ango, thank you. Thank you for everything that you have done for welcoming me into the community, man. Very, very appreciated.
It's fun, bro. It's fun. And I think we will have a lot of good stuff to enjoy this year. Trevor actually says it. He says we're in for one hell of a year, guys.
Yep.
And this actually, obviously, we have Collision tomorrow. I cannot promise a stream for Collision. It's always a possibility. I can't promise it. But that's how much I enjoy doing these, that I look forward to doing them. But also, I just want to say that 2024, we are 6 days in. And I will say, WWE and AEW have completely got me bought in for this year. This is a very strong start.
Yeah.
Very strong start. And I look forward, and I think what we will do at the end of 2024 is look back on these live streams, and we will talk about whether, obviously, we fantasy book a million,
right?
So we can't do that,
right?
But I think I'll look back and be like, man, were we right about WWE and AEW having a strong year, or we were wrong? Where did they get off track? We were talking about all these little details, and oh shit, this happened. I don't know. But I look forward to reflecting on wrestling at the end of the year, because I feel like this is a very, very strong start. And obviously, that's why I enjoy talking about wrestling with you guys, because there's a lot of stuff to talk about. It's not easy to sit down on a chair for 2.5 hours, bro. My back hurts. My ass hurts.
You know what I'm saying, dude? My ass
dehydrated
is right now. I can't even sit here and lie to you.
Nonetheless, though, it was fun. I appreciate y'all stopping by. Billy, appreciate you, my brother.
Appreciate you, brother.
YouTube.com/Billy@BillyTKO, YouTube.com/@Ango, or on X @AngoPW, and all that good stuff. All the links are in the description and shit like that. You already know.
You already know the deal.
But we'll see you guys. Have a good night.
Peace.